All right, Mr. Stowe, you want to call Mr. Devine?
I do.
Mr. Devine, raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. All right, may I have a seat? Mr. Stowe?
Sir, can you please state your name and spell your name for the record?
Robert Devine, Devine,
And, what town do you live in today?
Stoughton, Massachusetts.
What do you do for work?
I'm an attorney
How long have you been an attorney?
for the last 4.5 years.
Do you know when you get sworn in as an attorney?
I did. I was January 11th, 2021.
What did you do that day?
Well, the COVID precautions were still in effect. So my family was gathered around in my dining room. I was sworn in at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Then I went with my wife to the post office where we had to mail in all my paperwork. Then my wife and I went and had a few drinks at the Stone Forge restaurant in Easton. We came home, picked up my 2 kids, and we went in town for dinner at one steakhouse that evening.
Spent the whole day with your wife.
The entire day.
That's where I want to ask you about your background. What is your background as far as law enforcement goes?
I joined the United States Coast Guard in 1993. I was 7 years active duty, 3 years in the reserves. I was awarded 2 Coast Guard Achievement Medals. I was awarded 4 letters of commendation. I was put in charge of the Marine Environmental Response Unit for the City of Boston. When I ended up in Stoughton, I happened to be living there at the time. I wanted a more stable home life because I was being moved around every few years. I got hired in 1999. I was appointed to juvenile, I believe, in 2001. I was promoted to the rank of sergeant in 2004, lieutenant in 2006, and I was the second in command of the department in 2008 until 2015.
And what happened in 2015?
In 2015, I had an issue in my marriage. My wife and I weren't doing well. I spent entirely too much time at the police department. I spent entirely too much time in my job and not on my family. I had years of built up trauma that I unfortunately really wasn't aware of. The way I explained it to my therapist was I would have things happen and I would put them in a box and I would put the box on a shelf. And then toward the end of 2013 into 2014, there was a young girl, looked like my daughter, got run over with a box truck and my shelf broke. And I would walk around, I would start crying and not know why. I was stretched tighter than a drum at work because I didn't have much support there. And my marriage crumbled. My wife and I separated. We drafted a divorce agreement. That was the route we were going to go. I engaged in a relationship with another woman. I probably should have waited until I was divorced.
Let's back up. So you broke up with your wife. You actually drafted a separation agreement?
Yes.
Did you get filed in any court?
No.
And when you physically separated, you moved apart from each other?
Yes.
And after you moved apart, did you have a relationship with another woman?
I did.
And okay, and after you started a relationship with that woman, what happened?
We dated for 4 to 6 months, maybe. And then my wife started having some issues at her job, and I kind of stepped in a protective capacity. We started talking again. We decided we wanted to reconcile.
Okay, so you asked her what? Asked someone at the department to do something for you?
Yeah, I asked, I asked one of my detectives who specialized in pulls if she could do a pull with my cell phone because I just wanted to have a complete record of what may have been there. I know we've had some luck with pulling some, deleted messages and things like that. That's what I was trying to do. I was put on administrative leave in 2015. I was completely honest with the investigator, and I ended up being disciplined for abusing my authority and conduct on becoming a police officer, and I lost my rank as deputy chief, and I served a 60-day suspension.
Now, as far as violations, sir, what were the violations for? What did you do for those violations? What actually happened?
Again, it was, conduct on becoming is kind of a nebulous thing. They didn't like that I embarrassed the police department because it became very public. And the abuse of my authority was because I asked my detective to do the pull on my phone.
So you asked somebody in the department to do a pull of the phone for what reason?
Because I wanted to recover a complete record of my own phone.
And you did that without seeking the correct authority within the department? Is that it?
I mean, that's what the report said. I did talk to my boss about it, but it's not in there. So
You didn't file an actual police report that resulted in somebody searching it.
I did, no, not for that. I did file an actual police report for a bouquet of flowers with a nasty note that was sent to my home. And that's what started most of this. So.
Did you have a problem with your identity at that point?
Regularly, not just me, my wife, my son. Unfortunately, every piece of social media we had was broken into. Every email account we had was broken into. My poor wife has to use an alias as a police officer in the city of Quincy because her Quincy police work email was being broken into so often. My son's accounts were being cloned. My accounts were being cloned. My family was getting harassing messages. My brother got a message that was allegedly from me telling my sister-in-law that he was cheating on him. I mean, it wouldn't stop. I got pictures of text messages that allegedly came from me, spoofed by my own phone number that someone else sent me, of messages that I allegedly sent. And on a regular basis for years, my wife would get screenshots of conversations that, someone would say, oh, yeah, hey, Bob's talking to this one. And sometimes they would have a window where they could, make it plausible. And other times, my wife and I were in Florida, so I kept records of everything meticulously, probably up until 2016, 2017. But then it became clear. I filed complaints with Facebook. I filed complaints with Yahoo. I filed complaints with Comcast. I filed complaints with Twitter. I filed complaints everywhere. And then it just became clear it did no good. So, I would keep some stuff here and there, but over the years, I don't have the treasure trove of what I should.
So let me back up. What time frame are we talking?
Oh, this went on from 2015 until 2020, 2021.
So as soon as you started your breakup with your girlfriend at that point?
Yes.
Were you ever able to trace or track who was doing this to you?
There were a couple of different people that the state police said. One was a friend of my ex. The others I wasn't quite sure of, and a lot they couldn't track down because it was, these accounts, text now, things like that, they're easy to find. You can route everything through Canada and they can't track it down. So, changed my phone number 4 times. I had to change my emails 3 times. My son's changed his phone number 5 times. My wife changed hers 3 times. It just hadn't stopped.
Now, what did the department do? What did the state police do for you? So one of the violations, correct me if I'm wrong.
Can the witness finish the question
Sorry.
or his answer?
I got it. Yeah, let's just wait till your lawyer's done. Yes, sir.
So that would be a violation.
Yes.
And as a police officer, you should have done what?
I should have reported it.
You didn't report it.
No, I didn't.
You didn't want her to be.
I didn't want to get in trouble. No.
So
I just wanted to stop.
that was part of the internal investigation report from 2015, correct?
That's correct.
Now I want to back up. I started doing your background, and I don't think I finished. Do you have any letters of recommendation? Letters of commendation?
I have 4 from the Coast Guard. I have multiple from the police department.
You ever appointed supervisor of the year?
Yeah, I was the supervisor of the year. I was also the police officer of the year as chosen by the PFW in my town.
FBI Deployment Association?
No, I was one of 11 instructors nationwide for the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association.
What does that mean?
I basically teach chiefs how to be chiefs.
What was your background in this?
Well, frankly, when I got on my police department, it was a mess. There was a lot of issues that had to be corrected. There was a lot of politics. And when I took over in my position, I was determined to try to turn things around. And one of the things we did to do that was to get the police department fully certified. I managed to do that. And I managed to, at least in some measure, turn around the reputation of the department. Obviously I didn't help matters in 2015 myself. I mean, that's on me, but the fact of the matter is that I did a pretty good job up to that point.
Okay. So I want to go back to the 2015 internal investigation. You resolved that, right, sir?
I did.
And did you admit that you did anything in violation of the rules?
I agreed to the conduct unbecoming and the abuse of authority.
You either need to bring your mic closer to you.
I'm sorry.
I missed what you said.
I said I agreed to the conduct unbecoming and the abuse of authority.
If we could bring up the original documents on page 632. You could scroll it down, scroll through it. You recognize this document, sir? You can scroll down.
Going quick. Yes.
What is it?
It's the agreement I signed with the town to take my punishment.
And at the time, before you were disciplined, what was your rank?
I was the deputy chief of police. I was often the acting chief of police because my boss was always injured.
And you signed this, and what was your punishment?
I got dropped down to the rank of patrol officer, and I served a 60-day suspension.
And after you had the 60-day suspension, were you trying to get back into the workforce, into the department?
I went back to work as a patrol officer.
Any issues about you going back to the department?
The minute I got back.
What happened?
The day I got back, my wife was pulled over by an officer of the department. She filed a written complaint about it, which nothing was done about. I got told that I was going to be a dispatcher, that I wasn't going to be allowed to drive police cruisers. And I sat on the desk for the better part of the next 3 years. The first day I was back on shift, I was put on the desk to train with an officer that I had hired who had less than a year of experience.
Who was the chief? Who gave you this?
That was Donna McNamara.
Donna McNamara. She testified here the first day.
Yes, she did.
So, what is the dispatcher? Is that the lowest position in the department?
Pretty much.
So you stayed there for how long?
3 years.
And what happened next?
After not being disciplined for a thing in my law enforcement career for in excess of 20 years, all of a sudden I couldn't do anything right. How I answered the phone was wrong. How I handled calls was wrong. I took 6 sick days in a calendar year, and I got spoken to about that, even though there were people in the department that had upwards of 20. It didn't stop. It was a constant. Every little thing was getting nitpicked. In my opinion, they were trying to force me out the door because they didn't want me back in the first place.
What was your relationship with Brian?
We didn't have one at that point.
At some point, did you have one?
No, we came to a shaky alliance so we could coexist in the building.
Well, what got you there? At some point, you didn't have a shaky alliance.
No, we went to the police academy together. We were best friends.
Okay.
You know, we.
How long are you best friends? Tell us.
Your Honor, Attorney Stowe's not letting the witness finish his answers.
I agree. Just let him finish. You wait for his question, you wait for his answer, and we'll be fine.
Okay. No, we were good friends. You know, our families traveled together. I was around his kids. He was around my kids. You know, we had a good relationship for a long time.
How many kids do you have?
Two.
Two. What are their names? Do they live with you?
Doesn't anymore, but he did for a long time.
In 2020, was he living with you?
Yes.
When did he move up?
Well, he stayed with us throughout the COVID event. And then after everything started opening up again, he bought a condo in Marshfield.
Do you know when he moved up?
Into 2021, 2022, somewhere around there.
After SB had passed?
Yes.
When did he live with you up until that?
Well, from the time my wife and I bought the house until then, so 2001 until
2021?
2021, yeah.
So who lived in the house in, say, March through August of 2020?
Me, my wife, my son, my daughter, and my two dogs.
The two dogs. What dogs do you have?
I have a King Shepherd and a German Shepherd who's a retired canine.
How long have you had those two German Shepherds?
The retired canine is 6. We've had him about 6 years. And the King Shepherd we've had for 5.
So in 2020, would you have had two dogs living at home with you?
Yes.
And are they noisy?
They're very noisy. The slightest thing sets them off. My neighbors walking down the street set them off. It is not a quiet house.
Now, I want to get back to the relationship with Brian Holmes. You said you were good friends at one point, traveled together.
Yeah.
And where had you gone together?
I mean, he had a house in Wareham, you know, so we would go down there on the weekends here and there. And other than that, it was just, you know, going to sports games together, things like that, just stuff that guys do.
And at some point, there was a break in the relationship. Is that
Yes,
right?
that's
What
correct.
happened?
I can't remember the exact year, but I was still the deputy chief of police. There was a friend of his who was a former police officer who had been sent to jail, and he got an appeal hearing. I testified at his first trial, so I was called to testify at his second trial. He had a new attorney because his first attorney had passed away, and this attorney wanted me to testify to some things that I just wasn't comfortable testifying to. So they didn't call me to the stand. The next day, Brian burst into my office, red-faced, yelling that I left this guy out to dry, and how could I, and how could you leave him hanging? Almost exactly what he said here, you know, last month. And from that moment on, we just weren't right.
What year was that?
I'm not sure. Like I said, I was still in charge, so it might have been 13, 14-ish, somewhere around there.
And what happened next with regard to your relationship?
I came back to work. He and I didn't speak. It was very cold shoulder. A lot of the supervisors shunned me in general. I was told by one that I intimidate them all, so, you know, they're not going to talk to me, which I didn't understand. They all outranked me at the time. And then my father passed away, and it was probably a year after his father had passed away. And he actually did approach me, and he handed me a St. Patrick's coin, and he said he was sorry, and, you know, could we try to exist in the building together? And I said, yeah, that's fine. I said, I think we need to go and talk some things out, but, you know, for now, we can try and call it truce. That conversation never took place, and, you know, the conditions really didn't change all that much, but that was the incident that, you know, we could at least speak.
Was there an incident involving your daughter?
Shortly after I came back, the police department, most of us in my age group, we all had kids. And unfortunately, when you have 2 income homes, sometimes the kids got dropped at the station until you left work. So my daughter got dropped one day. She was about 8.5. The school resource officer saw her and allowed her into her office, gave her crayons and a piece of paper, and she was in their drawer. Well, right next to the school resource officer's office is a bank of mailboxes, and one of them close by, unfortunately, said Holmes. So my daughter, wanting to protect her dad, you know, I'm a Star Trek fan. I watch it all the time. And she heard a quote in there that she thought was cool. She wrote it on a piece of paper. She put it in his mailbox.
And that's the quote's something to the effect that vengeance is best served cold.
Yes.
And what happened?
I got pulled off of shift by Lieutenant John Bonney and handed a letter that said that an internal affairs investigation had been opened up against me. He wouldn't tell me why. I didn't know why. And then finally, after pressuring him a little bit, I said, "You can't send me home like this." He said, "Well, why don't you ask your daughter?" I said, "Okay." So I went home and I asked my daughter. She told me what happened. But a full-blown internal affairs investigation resulted. I was interviewed. Other witnesses were interviewed. And at the end of it, Lieutenant Bonney found that I had committed no wrongdoing. But then the chief issued a no trespass order against my 8-year-old daughter.
And who was pushing the investigation?
Brian?
Did you ever approach Brian about that?
No, he outranked me at the time. So, I didn't think anything good could come of it.
You were patrolman, right?
Yes,
See, when you were deputy chief, was he a deputy chief?
he was a sergeant.
He was a sergeant. So he took your job.
Yes, he did.
So you got demoted, he rose up into your job.
That's correct.
With regard to it, you ever heard of the Oasis program?
Yes.
What is that?
It is the Organization Against Substances in Stoughton. It's a model anti-substance abuse program that I started with a handful of other stakeholders in the town. And it's been running now for 23 years. Probably brought about $10 million into the town for drug prevention.
And that's something you started.
Yes.
What about the Explorers program? What is that?
Well, I was working midnight, so I got approached by the police chief to ask if I wanted to become a juvenile officer. I had only been there a couple of years, so I didn't put in for the job. He approached me, but I wanted off midnight. So I said, well, if it's going to get me off midnights, then sure.
What year was that?
2001, I think.
Okay. So it was good. So you were looking for something to get off of midnight?
Yeah, it was either 01 or 02. It was in that ballpark. But I just wanted off midnights. But he told me with that job came the Explorers program and the Open Gym program. And the Explorers, originally it was a scouting outfit, and I have no experience of that whatsoever. There were probably about 10 kids in it when I first took over, and I didn't really know what to do with it. So I asked them what they wanted to do, and I floated the idea of maybe, a junior police academy. They jumped on that, and I had some experience doing it in the service, and I created a 10-week program that was centered around discipline and learning the ins and outs of police work.
And Miss Hogan was here earlier and testified?
Yes,
Was she in that program?
she was.
And was SB in the program?
Yes,
A lot of people in the program.
yes. Over the years, I probably put 500 kids through, minimum.
And what was your tenure in the program? How long were you in it?
Well, I ran it as part of being a juvenile officer from the time I got appointed until the time I got promoted to sergeant in 2004. I handed it over to my replacement juvenile, who was John Bonney, and it fell flat. Nothing was done with it, so I had a bunch of parents calling me, asking me, "You're going to do this spring, blah, blah, blah." So I talked to the chief about it. I said, "Listen, if there's time in it for me, I'll continue to try and get this thing off the ground if you want me to do it." And he said, "Yeah, sure, do it." So I did it for some overtime, some compensatory time. And I had it from 04 to 06 when I made lieutenant. We got a new juvenile officer, and I tried giving it to him. And the same thing happened. So I ended up having to step back in about 2007. And then I tried one more time to foist it off on an Officer Gagney because he said he was interested, but he didn't have the commitment for it. So unfortunately, I had to take it back over again. But my last class was in 2014.
What is open gym?
Open Gym was a program that was designed to keep kids busy during the hours of the end of school until 5 o'clock when they were the most likely to be the victims of perpetrators of crime. So we opened the middle school gym. We provided athletic equipment. We basically let the kids play whatever they wanted to play. Football, basketball, street hockey. There were a million different things. To correct some of the things that were said earlier, there was, between 50 and 100 kids in that every day. There were a myriad of adults that came and went. And Sergeant Hardy and I were in there together every day.
And what were the years that you were, would you have been called a juvenile officer?
Yeah, just when I was a juvenile officer. As soon as I left the juvenile office, I left that behind.
And what were the years?
Probably 01, 02 to 04.
02 to 04 maybe?
Yeah, it wasn't that long. It was only a couple of years while I was in the juvenile office.
And did you have the opportunity back in 2002 to 2000?
She was, but yes,
Well, she's referencing the IA report, is that correct, sir?
that's correct.
And please tell the judge about your relationship with her.
I didn't have a relationship with her. She was obsessed. She would have people drive her by my house. She would look up my phone number. She would use the other kids' AOL accounts to try to talk to me under someone else's name. It was uncomfortable. There was a lot. It was just really uncomfortable with her.
Did you reach out?
I'm sorry.
Please, I
Yeah.
I'm gonna get in trouble.
So no, spoke to my wife about it, and so she was aware that I was uncomfortable with this kid, and we just had the basic, well, be careful, everything else. And one of the big things when I worked in the school was I was never alone, ever. I was adamant about that. Is that because it's a school, there's young kids, you don't want to be accused of things like this. And whenever I had to have a conversation with a student, it was with an assistant principal, it was with Roger Hardy, or it was with someone else. In this case that they brought up, I had high school volunteers there. I didn't have another police officer yet. So I had a conversation with her with an open door, with a sign-in desk behind me, with hundreds of kids coming and going, taking equipment out. But I didn't want to embarrass her either. So I was trying to give her some privacy.
What was the issue?
Her mother came in to talk to me. She said, listen, my daughter's not doing well. Her and her husband will get divorced. Could you speak to her? And I said, well, I don't know what good that's going to do. She goes, well, you don't understand. You mean a lot to her. I said, well, why do I mean a lot to her? She said, you don't understand. You're on par with John Bon Jovi. That's the exact word she used. She goes, and I would ask you to speak to her for me. I said, fine. After that conversation, again, I was a little uncomfortable. So in the open gym, there's an office, because I didn't have an office at the time. I got an office the next year. The door opens into the gym. Okay. And there's a desk up against it with the sign-in sheets right there, the cage behind it. All right. Right. So I took her behind that desk as I was standing in an open doorway. And the first thing I said to her was, there's a pretty good age gap here, right? And she got all red-faced and she stared at her feet and she said, yeah, I know. I said, your mother came to me all upset. She asked me to talk to you about, the path you're walking down. I said, I don't know why you have this infatuation, but, you're going to grow up. You're going to turn 18 one day. You're going to have boyfriends in high school. I'll be a distant memory. And she said, okay, all right. And please, start put some work into your schoolwork.
You
Yes.
said infatuation. What did you understand what her infatuation was?
Her mother told me that she was infatuated. Like I said, I was on par with John Bon Jovi. That's all I remember. Her mother was that she was infatuated with me, and that she thought a conversation from me would be helpful in turning her around.
Did you ever give her a hug?
No. It's the last thing.
What is your understanding about what her mother did with her as far as medical treatment?
I don't know. I really didn't want anything to do with her, if I'm being honest. I asked the other officers I was working with if there were issues with her, if they could handle them. And after a while of being uncomfortable, I asked her to not come back to the open gym either. I didn't want to be around her.
With regard to the open gym, then, with regard to her, did you have any further contact with her after?
After that, no.
Now, you know a gentleman, is that correct?
Yes,
And did you talk?
I have.
And you recently have some surgery, sir?
He had a back surgery in the last few weeks.
He has trouble ambulating because of it.
Yes,
Now, he provided you an affidavit, is that correct?
that's correct.
Page 1268. What were the circumstances under which you got the affidavit?
Objection, Your Honor.
Grounds.
As a potential witness, if he's going to testify, that's fine. Mr. Devine should not be testifying on his behalf. The affidavit speaks for itself.
I agree. The affidavit seeks some slight information for what we have. It's part of his response to post that is currently in evidence. This was part of the response provided to post, which
Well, that's fine. You can tell how it was submitted or created, but in terms of the substance of it, we'll stick with the affidavit.
right,
Words of the affidavit. Right. So
which certainly foundational work in.
go ahead.
Sir, document.
So there's no expectation that he's going to appear live.
No. Mr. Devine, I want to show you an affidavit of here. Is how is it you came to get this document, sir?
Well, called me probably 10 years prior.
Prior to what?
Prior to this post. It's probably somewhere in the vicinity of 2013, 2014. I was still on Facebook at the time. So was he. We were Facebook friends. I hadn't seen him since high school, so it's not like we were hanging out. We were best buddies. You know, I would talk to him here and there on Facebook. He called me and he said, hey, can I have your phone number? Something disturbed me. Can I talk to you about it? And I said, sure. So I called him and he asked me if I knew. I said, I do. I wish I didn't. I said, why? He said he was newly back in the dating game. He was trying some dating apps and he matched with this woman. And they went out and.
So is this the substance of the affidavit?
I don't know.
Well, it's what I was told.
No, hold on. Talk to your lawyer.
Yeah, Judge, I think there is in the affidavit.
So that's where it comes from. I don't want the witness to be testifying about what somebody else said if in fact the affidavit is available.
Right. And this goes to use, this is conversation, this isn't necessarily the affidavit, but there is information in the affidavit that's overlapping.
Say that again.
This was his conversation, the hearsay conversation.
That's referenced that he discusses in the affidavit.
Yes.
So let's get it from the affidavit.
So you had a conversation with him and you've read the affidavit, is that correct?
Yes.
The information that he provided you is in the affidavit.
Yes.
How is it you got the affidavit from him?
Once I found out through post that made allegations against me, I remembered the conversation that I had with him. So I called him and I asked him if he'd be willing to make a statement about it. And he said, absolutely. And he generated that.
Did you write that or did he write that?
I gave him a framework and I told him to just write down what
Did he type it out? Or did
Yes.
you type it out?
No, he typed it out, but I gave him like a template that I used. So
Okay. So,
Where's that at? That's the page,
1270,
1270.
1269, oh, it's 3 pages. 12 starts at 1268 and goes to 1270.
Why don't you just keep this thing a little longer so I can take a minute to read it?
So, on that line of questioning, sir, you talked about post investigation, but I want to actually back up. How was it you learned to know SB?
she joined the Explorers program.
Do you know when she joined?
I don't know the year. She was around 13, I think.
And how was she as an explorer?
She was tough. The program is built on disciplines, and she didn't take to that all that well. She didn't have the physical fitness to keep up with a lot of the other kids, but she did try hard. I had a lot of kids in the program that, for lack of a better way to put it, they gravitated to it because they had nowhere else to go. She was kind of one of them.
Now, you told us a little bit about the structure of the explorers program. Who did you have as instructors or participants as far as teaching?
Half the department, and including my wife.
Did your wife work with you?
Yes.
In what capacity?
When I needed certain things taught, I would ask if she would come down and volunteer to do it, which she did. In exchange for a nice letter I had a boy sent to her chief, but I mean, Brian Holmes was an instructor. Donna McNamara was an instructor. The Firewall brothers were instructors. Lieutenant Hardy was an instructor. Billy Tracy was an instructor. Jay Owens, Dan McGowan. I mean, I could go down the list. It was pretty open to just about anyone who had some level of knowledge that I could take advantage of, and it spared me from having to teach every class.
You try to get others to impart their knowledge on youth.
Yes.
How old are these?
Usually range between 13 and 18, 13 and 17, because usually the seniors will be. So.
And with regard to SB, what experiences do you have teaching her within the program?
She could be disruptive, and she could be an issue, and some of that was maturity, and some of that was just she liked attention. But that was about it.
Did you have any friendly relationship with her when she was in the Explorers program?
She was a student. That was it.
Do you know her age when she was in the program? Her age?
Like I said, I want to say it was 13 to 16, but I'm not entirely sure.
And you left the program in 2014, right?
That's correct.
And are you aware that she left the program in 2016?
I didn't, but
So after 2000, while she was in the program, was she ever to your house?
no, never.
When you left the program in 2014, did she ever come to your house to the present?
No.
Now, how did the students communicate or to try to get you messages within the Explorers program while you were there?
I had students, usually seniors. They were the only ones that had my work cell phone number. I had 2 cell phones. I had one provided by the department, and I had my own. They had my work cell phone number, and they were the only ones allowed to contact me. If anyone had any issues or anything like that, they had to go through them to me.
And was SB one of those
Never.
students? No. Did you ever provide her with any of social media contacts?
No, I mean, we had a Stoughton Police Explorers Facebook page, and people would interact on that. But that, to the best of my recollection, that was all. So
What happened to that Facebook page?
I have no idea.
And did you have your own Facebook page back then?
I did.
What was your Facebook? What was your, I guess, contact name?
Bob Devine.
And did that change?
No,
Do you still have that?
no.
When did you get rid of anyone?
I deactivated it in 2014 because of all the issues that were going on with my family being harassed. I tried to reactivate it when I went back to work in 2016, hoping that things could move forward. And as soon as I did, it started being attacked again. My family started getting harassing messages again. So I deleted it permanently.
Did you ever open up another Facebook account?
No,
Did you ever open up a Facebook iMessage account?
you mean a messenger?
Messenger account?
I've never even had the messenger app, and I've provided that to post.
Provided what to post?
A full record of my entire Apple download history from 2010 until now. I never had that app.
You provide that to Mr. Holmes, Brian Holmes.
I did.
You did?
Yep.
When was that?
When I returned my package with the 17 answers to the questions. Everything I provided to post, I provided to him first.
Now, with regard to your wife was what's called a RAD instructor.
Yes.
What is that?
Rape aggression defense. It's a women's self-defense program.
And did SP partake or participate in their class?
She participated in a class in Quincy.
When was that?
I believe 2019.
2019?
I believe so.
And had you had any contact with SB between 2014 and 2019?
No. Well, I mean, other than no, because I was still inside. It was still on the desk. No.
So, describe for us your understanding of the incident.
My wife was trying to teach her class like she normally does, and she teaches about one a week. And she's an animated instructor, but the class has to be structured, and was having a tough time sticking with that structure. So after the class was over, SB walked up to my wife and asked for her phone number and said, "Could you mentor me? Could I get a ride along from you? Could I, do all these different things?" My wife was kind of in a rush to pack up everything for her class. And she said, "Yeah, okay, sure." She gave her a phone. She came home, she talked to me, she asked me if I had heard this name before. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Why?" She was in my class. I said, "Okay." She goes, "Well, she was looking for me to mentor her." I said, "Absolutely not." I said, "Don't do that." She asked me why. And I said, "Because every time a police officer gives her contact information, it never stops. That she ends up having to be blocked." She got blocked by several of the female officers on my department, several other people that I know. Officer Shannon Isabel, Officer Heather Cheever, Brian Kavanaugh. Just to name a few. Sandra, I believe Sandra Barrett. So my wife went back to teach the second night of her class. Showed up. SB showed up, and she confronted my wife angrily that my wife hadn't answered her text messages, that she hadn't scheduled a ride along for her yet. And my wife's not the type to put up with that. So she basically told her to shut her mouth, and it's not happening now. So the class started. She continued to be disruptive, and a Quincy police lieutenant had to ask her to leave.
And that was in 2019.
Yes.
And what happened with regard to SB and your wife?
So far as I know, that was it. My wife had a traffic issue coming home from that class where she said a car she thought tried to run her off the road. She can't say for sure that it was SB, but she can't say it wasn't either. So
now you said at some point you got off the desk, and that was a dispatcher's desk?
yes,
Okay, when was that?
I believe it was toward the end of 2019. I was still in school. So
What do you mean by you're still in school?
I was still in law school. So it was toward the end of 2019. I got told, hey, you can go back on the road now. And I started working, taking calls for service again.
And in 2019, did you have a conversation with Mr. Holmes about your cell phone being changed?
I did. I changed my cell phone number for the fourth time. And Mr. Holmes noticed that I had. So as I was walking by his office, what used to be mine, he said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a minute?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I noticed you changed your phone number." I said, "Yes." He said, "Can I ask why?" And I told him, I said, "I'm still dealing with the same nonsense that I've been dealing with for the past 4 years." I said, my phone number is being hijacked. I said, my emails are being hijacked. I'm finding piggyback accounts on my emails. I said, it won't stop, And he said, "Well, do you want the department to get involved?" And I told him, absolutely not do I want the department to be anywhere near this. Because the last time that happened, I got triple demoted and nothing happened. So he said, "Okay, well, if that's changes, let me know." And I said, "All right." And that was the end of the discussion.
And now, what steps did you take to try to correct your messages?
At first, I tried everything. I reported it to the police department. I worked with the state police. We spoke with the victim witness advocate in Norfolk County. I reported complaints to Facebook and Twitter and Yahoo and Comcast and Google, and every complaint I could possibly make, I made. And it didn't stop a thing.
Now, we can look at the original documents, page 1279. Mr. Devine, I'll suggest to you that this is part of your submission to post, which begins at page 1246. So your response to post is at 1246. And this is one of the exhibits that's part of what you submitted to post.
That's correct.
And
So I lost my temper and I sent that back to them.
did you have any Facebook accounts at that time?
No, but my family does.
And did you submit that to Detective Holmes as part of the internal investigation?
I did.
Okay. Did you go through the exhibits that were part of these IA report?
I did.
Is that email in there?
I didn't see it.
It's not part of it, is it?
I didn't see it.
So you submitted that to the town of Stoughton,
Yes.
and it didn't make it to the report.
No.
Do you know what happened to it?
I have no idea.
What, if any, so now at some point you get out of the office. You're not at the desk. What happens as far as SB?
Well, I went back on the road and I would usually work the same area of town. And there were a handful of places where I would put my police cruiser. There's a church, there's a golf course. But I mean, they're generally centrally located places, where I could respond to calls. And without fail, if she saw me, she pulled in, she would ask if I wanted a coffee or anything else and want to try to strike up a conversation.
And what did you do?
I spoke to her briefly, usually because I didn't really want to get into it with her. But if I was parked, like in one case in the golf course, it's a deep parking lot. So if I was parked toward the back of the parking lot, I would stop her and I would bring it up to the street level so that I was at least visible.
Why did you do that?
Because I just didn't like being alone with people.
And did she, what if any sexual talk did she have?
She would.
Objection. Leading.
Cat's out the bag. You can answer the question.
She would proposition me here and there, and I would tell her no.
Now, would she, what if any words would she use? Would she use any specific words with you?
A couple of times she asked me why I wouldn't just give in and railed her.
And you actually told that You gave that as in your statement, is that correct?
Yes.
And, had you ever heard that term before?
Not before then.
Is that a term you use?
No.
Do you know if that's a term that has popped up in her journal?
I don't remember.
And, how often would you see her?
She usually pop up, once a week, once every other week.
And where would you see her?
The same places I usually put my police.
Did she ever show up with somebody?
Not that I remember.
Just for clarification, what period of time are we talking about now?
This would be beginning of 2020 until she passed.
How often would you see her?
Like I said, once a week, maybe once every other week.
And would you ever see her outside of work?
Never.
And the term rail, that's not something you made up, right?
No.
And were you privy to any journals that you may have had?
I did see the journals as part of the evidence. I'm sorry.
Objection.
I don't know.
Objection.
Objection, you're a lawyer.
Sorry, sir.
Objection sustained, that's deleting.
But you would use that term.
Objection. Oh, sorry. Withdrawn.
Sorry.
Your Honor, I'd like to draw the court's attention to page 915. 915,
Your Honor,
part of the journal.
I'm going to object to this. If the witness is saying that he doesn't recall, this is a document that has to be created. I don't think you can refresh his recollection, based on an exhibit that he reviewed to testify that somebody else drafted.
Right, if this is an evidence, it's an evidence.
It's an evidence.
Yeah, but what's the point?
Well, that's not a term that you made up, right?
No.
That's also, we have an objection, give me a chance to rule on it, and then we'll proceed from there. So I just all I'm doing is considering the fact this document is an evidence. And
Yeah, just like it's just such an unusual term.
right, you'll have time to argue.
So had SB ever been to your house?
No.
And you were invited to your house?
No.
Now, when you went for your statement, the internal investigations, who was present with you?
It's an attorney, Patrick Bryant, and investigator Littleine and Freeze.
And did you know what the investigation was about?
I have no idea.
Did nobody tell you?
I was told in generalities that it was regarding SB, and that's about all I was told.
And because she had recently passed, right?
Yes.
And were you privy to any information? Were you privy, for example, to Monty Briggs records?
No.
Were you privy to a journal or any other documents?
No.
And when you went in, did your attorney make a representation or make a statement on the record?
He did.
And what was that?
That the department wasn't following their own policies and procedures by not at least informing us about what the focus of the investigation was.
And what was your experience, if any, doing internal investigations?
I used to be the head of internal investigations.
And is there a policy relative to informing
There is, I wrote it,
what is the policy?
that you have to at least give a skeletal structure of what is being investigated to the person before them.
And was that afforded to you, that opportunity afforded
No.
to you? So you went in blind.
Yes,
Did you try to cooperate?
I did.
You provided statements to them?
I did.
Statements true with the best of your knowledge and ability?
They were.
Now, back to that. There was an incident that was alleged by, I believe it was Officer Tracy,
Yes,
and where there was and the IA report says there was a student in your office.
yes,
Do you recall that incident, sir?
I do.
Please tell the judge what happened.
There was a 23-year-old spin instructor in her workout gear in my office who was going to help me work out the Explorers once they had all arrived. She is that description. She's a little older than 21. She did have short brown curly hair. Her name had nothing to do with
It had nothing to do with what?
nothing to do with
Was she an explorer?
at one point, but it was years prior.
She was 23.
Mhm.
And she gone to college?
I don't think she did because she was working as a spin instructor and a bartender. So I don't think she did go to college.
Did you have a conversation with, I believe it was Officer Tracy afterwards?
I did.
What was the conversation?
I told him, thanks, you almost cost me one of my best physical training instructors because she was offended that he was offended by what she was wearing.
Now, describe the office you were in.
It's right in the middle of the police department, visible to the dispatch area. I had a window in my door and I had two solid windows without shades next to it. You can see right in my office at all times.
Now, between 2016 and 2000,
Because I missed, she's.
between 2000,
No, just a second. You said, what was she in your office for? What was the purpose of that?
We did physical training for the Explorers classes.
So the Explorers.
Yeah, and
That's what I thought.
yeah, and she was a heck of an athlete and a heck of a trainer. And frankly, as I got older, my knees didn't cooperate as well, so she would take a lot of it for me. So
how often did she come to help out?
during the 10-week class, she might come in, 3-4 times after her work at the gym.
Now, I want to talk about the interviews that we have. We have them.
So before you go forward, you're going to be going for a while, I assume.
Just, yeah, a little bit.
I'm just thinking if this is a good breaking point, maybe we'll stop for the day and
It is.
continue tomorrow. All right.
It is.
All right. You may step down. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And we'll reconvene here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Other than Mr. Devine, are you anticipating any other witnesses?
No.
Please, Mark.
We're going to ask, I think we'll begin this process. We're going to do a closing, we can submit papers, a closing of papers.
Well, Mr. Devine, why don't you have a seat? Let me, I know.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
So what's your preference?
I'd rather submit a written response. I think Your Honor actually indicated it might be easier for you to get a written response.
Yeah, and I don't, how do you feel about it?
I think given the sheer volume and I'm sure you've noticed even during our questioning, it's hard not to jump because the records are so out of order. I do think written is very preferable.
Yeah, no, as I listen to this, I come to appreciate the volume. I agree with both of you. So we'll plan on this. You don't have to worry about closing statements tomorrow. We're going to schedule tomorrow after we complete the evidence.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I think we're good to get started. Today is Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. The time is 10:01 a.m. This proceeding is hereby called to order. This is the fourth day of the heard proceedings for the Massachusetts Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission in the matter of Robert Devine. This hearing is closed to the public pursuant to an order issued by the hearing officer on May 30th, 2025. We are convening in person and only necessary commission staff are permitted to observe the hearing. This hearing is being audio and video recorded, so parties should speak directly into the microphone to ensure the audio and recording is clear. The commission is represented by attorney Shaun Martinez, and the respondent is represented by attorney Robert Stowe. My name is Elizabeth Smith, and I'm the hearings administrator for the Post Commission. The Honorable Kenneth J. Fishman will serve as the hearing officer over these proceedings. Before we begin, I'd like to remind the parties to use initials when referring to any alleged victims or minors, and to specify whether they are referring to exhibits in the binder sent on June 3rd or the additional materials that were sent to the parties yesterday. For exhibits in the binder sent last month, please use a page's specific dates number that can be found at the bottom of the page, starting with post Devine closed hearing. And this matter is now before Judge Fishman.
Good morning, counsel. Good morning. Mr. Devine, you can resume the stand, please. Mind that you're still under oath.
Yes, sir.
So you completed your direct.
I have not. I will. Mr. Devine, we've been talking about schedules and how are schedules kept and where are they kept for the
It's in a general CAD system that's accessible to the whole department.
and who has access to that?
Any supervisor, certain patrol officers.
And how would somebody find out, for example, if you were working on a particular day?
They could look it up in the system, but the system wasn't always correct.
Why is that? What would happen?
Sometimes dispatchers forgot to put things in. Sometimes, I mean, I was out injured for 6 months and it showed me working for half
When was that?
of that. Around, I want to say I hurt my knee in late 2018, 2019.
To your knowledge, is that flaw in fixing the system?
No, not that I'm aware of.
And in that time, you were deputy chief, right?
No, I
No,
was
you were
back
patrolling.
patrolling.
Now, if is there any other way to find out that you're aware of if someone is working on a particular day?
Other than looking at the call logs, no.
If I were a person that would be open to a general public, I could scan whatever you could find out.
Objection. Calls for speculation.
And that form's the same.
Are you familiar with any public access to schedules or knowledge of the schedules that people regarding who would be working on a particular day for the school department?
Objection. That's irrelevant to this proceeding. There's no allegations of public access to the timesheets.
Why is that, Bill?
Well, you're right. Our position is that we don't know where this information came from. And if SB or someone else had access to a schedule, they could create this document that's Martin Riggs because they're able to get that information through public available means. Or, in this instance, they could get it through police officers if they know police officers.
But it's still speculative, isn't it? You don't have there's no evidence that that in fact occurred.
No, but I'm simply asking public access to figuring out who was working on a particular day. It's my understanding that the government's going to try to introduce some evidence of schedules. So who has access to schedules? How would they find out how people work?
Well, let's make it simple. That's very simple. Are you aware of any policy or procedure that allows for public access to these schedules?
The way that people can tell if we're working is just listen to a
But
police
ask
scan.
my question. I'm asking, are you aware of any policies or procedures which permit?
Well, yes. I mean,
What would that be?
the general police law usually lists the shift on it, and that's open to the public.
And it's the general police log available to the public.
Yes,
How's that?
in every department.
Well, how's that? Just tell me.
It's a public record.
And how does one get access to it?
You just come into the police station and ask for it.
So it's your testimony. If I were to just walk in the police station, they'd hand over the log to me.
Yes.
Was the schedule available to Matthew Farwell?
Yes.
The schedule available to William Farwell?
Objection. Leading and there's no time period.
Sustained.
In 2020, are you aware Matthew Farwell was working for the department?
Yes.
And during 2020, the entire year, would he have had access to that information?
Yes.
Objection.
Well, I do see the relevance. What's your, do you have an objection beyond relevance?
Lack of foundation. How would he have knowledge as to what Matthew Farwell knows or has access to?
Yes, asking whether he would have had access potentially. So I'll overrule. And I think you answered it anyway.
Yes, he had access to them.
And as far as William Farwell, would he have access for the entire year of 2020 if he was working for the department?
Also had access to them.
Was he working? Were they both working for the department in years
Yes.
2020? How do you know that?
I was working there at the time, and they were both there working.
And Joshua Heel, you know a man named Joshua Heel?
I do.
Was he working during the year 2020?
Yes.
Would he also have had access to the schedule to your knowledge?
Yes.
Now, I want to draw your attention to your submission. Look at it, page 1287. You filed a response to post when you received notice of this,
Yes, I did.
and you provided documents, did you not?
I did.
And within those documents, such as this page, there are handwritten notations. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
And whose handwriting is it?
That's mine.
Now, the documents go from page 1330. Start at 1330, please. And they go through 1398. Okay, and I just want to discuss the documents within there. I don't want to start first with back to 1330. Now, you submitted this. Is that correct?
I did.
What is it?
It's a screenshot of the Apple App Store under my account that shows that I had the Facebook app at one point, which is why you see the cloud there. It can be downloaded anytime, but I never had the Facebook Messenger app. That's why it says get.
So you never had the Facebook Messenger. And when did you print that off?
When I did my reply, which would have been 2022 at some point.
Okay. And if we scroll down, you start seeing a list of what are these?
So that's my entire app history download since I had an Apple account from 2010 to I printed it out.
Can we scroll? Just keep scrolling down. Now, stop here. In 2010, you had a Facebook account,
That's correct.
correct? Wasn't a Facebook Messenger account? Is there a difference?
There is a difference.
What is the difference to your knowledge?
The Facebook Messenger is a completely different application. It used to be incorporated into Facebook, but then at some point they separated it out. But I don't know.
Okay. And that's the account you eventually closed. We talked about yesterday. Is that
That's correct.
If we could scroll down, please. And as we're scrolling, these are from 2010, correct?
That's correct. And the ones without the cloud next to them with the arrow are defunct. So even apps that don't exist anymore show up on the history.
And you, 1330. Keep going. I think there's, for brevity judge, there's, I believe, 60 pages of these. If we could just go down to the last page, which is 1398. And they're all in chronological order. Just trying to save the court some time. Okay. Scroll down to the end of the page, please. Okay, so this is where it ends, right?
That's correct.
So when you provided post was a complete history of your app downloads,
Yes.
and iMessenger isn't in it.
No, it is not.
And you gave your history through June 16 of 2022.
When I turned it over to the post, yes.
And where did you get this from? Where did you get this list?
My phone, I can open it up and show it to you right now.
Now, if we go to page 1287. What is this, sir?
That is a fake Twitter account that was designed to infer that it was me.
Objection to the answer. It's speculative.
It's the same as to the second part of the answer.
How did you find out about this?
It friend requested me on my old Twitter handle. It has several friends on there that were friends of mine, including Lisa Klosnick and some of the other ones that are shown right there. And there were little nuggets dropped in there. The person was a police officer. The person was in the Coast Guard. The person was currently in law school. It was clearly meant to emulate me.
Objection.
Same.
So this wasn't your account,
No,
right? And when they took your interview in 2022, did you tell them you had problems all along with your accounts?
I did.
And that's in your interview, right?
It is.
It's, I believe, on the interview number 3 that we talked about yesterday.
That's how it's marked, yes.
So throughout this reply, you have handwritten notes on different pages. Is that correct?
Objection, Your Honor. There's been a few questions in a row that have been very leading. This is direct.
Yeah, but that's the kind of one that I'll allow because it saves some time. So overall.
Now, throughout the entire pages 1330 through 1398, all of those references on there are yours, sir,
My handwriting.
your handwriting. And why do you put your handwriting on?
Because I was trying to explain what each exhibit was.
So rather than go through each exhibit, your explanation as to what it is in the documents itself.
Yes.
Go to page 1291. And what is this, sir? Why did you introduce this?
And that was a cloned Instagram account of my son.
1305.
And that cloned account was sending harassing messages out that didn't come from my son.
1305. And what is this, sir?
My deactivated Facebook account was being reactivated with a new password.
Okay. And you previously testified yesterday, if you should scroll down to the next page. In the next page. These are all different dates, sir, that January 3, January 4, January 12, going out. These are all different dates. What is this?
Again, at the time you couldn't delete a Facebook page. You could only deactivate it. So I deactivated it, but someone who knew my email address kept going in and trying. Well, they did reactivate it under a new password. And I kept on having to file a complaint.
And yesterday you testified, did you not, that you had gotten rid of Facebook?
Yes,
And why did you get rid of Facebook?
because of things like this. As soon as they made it you able to be able to delete it, I deleted it.
How long did you struggle with this issue?
From 2015 until 2021.
And this was part of the issue you had in 2015, wherein you requested someone from your office to check your phone,
That's correct.
and which led to the 2015 incident. Investigations are.
Yes.
Now, I want to get to my Riggs files. Page 354. Now, Mr. Devine, on the first page is this, it's dated 11/5/22, First entry is dated 11/25/2020. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's, from what it shows here, it's from SB, correct?
That's what it says.
And the next date is 11/27/2020,
Yes, sir.
again from SB.
Yes.
And then the next response appears to be from Marty Riggs on 11/27/2020.
Yes, sir.
11/27/2020, significant for you at all?
Yes.
What were you doing on 11/27/2020?
Waiting for my grandmother to die.
Where were you?
Just bouncing back and forth the entire time between my house, my work, and her nursing home. There was COVID precautions in place, so we had to watch through a window while my dad dressed up in full plastic and was the one to sit with her, and she died the next morning.
Objection, Your Honor. He's now speaking about, or he's now answering beyond the question. It's where was he, not where was his father?
Was this an observation you were making through the window?
Yes, sir.
Overruled.
And where was that?
She was in a nursing home in Norwood.
What do you know the name of the nursing home?
I don't recall it.
Objection, Your Honor. These are very leading questions. There will be an opportunity for closing arguments. I believe their position is that Mr. Devine is not privy to these communications, so this is improper direct.
This is a documented evidence.
Yes.
Right? So the parties can read it, publish it. So to that extent, I'll allow them to answer.
On the
Why don't
27th,
you let him do it rather than you do it?
on the 27th, sir, the exchange was on, you can scroll down. Keep scrolling down. Keep scrolling down. Your page. What is that on? What is that? What's your understanding of what that means in act?
Laughing out loud.
Objection.
About what LOL means?
But he's just interpreting messages which he's claiming to have no personal knowledge of.
I think it's a general question.
Well, unless you're going to allow something, create some foundation for what LOL, how he would know what LOL means. Otherwise, he can just read what's on there.
Does this sound like the type of conversation someone would have if they're waiting for their grandmother to die in a nursing home?
Objection.
This thing.
On this particular day, November 27, 2020, do you know what times you spent at the nursing home with your dad?
I was there all day until I went to work, and then that night I went home and slept, and she died the next morning.
Died, November 28, 2020.
That's correct.
And then did you take some bereavement leave after that, sir?
I did.
No. I want to turn to page 412. Now would you agree, sir, that, certain days you know where you are, and certain days you know where you are in
Objection.
life?
You're talking about whether he personally?
Right, he personally, he knows where he is certain times. There's certain events in our lives that we remember where we are. Is that fair to say?
This is leading because he's suggesting the answer.
Why did you remember the day of November 27, 2020?
Because I remember when my grandmother died, and I remember what my family was going through at the time.
And why was that? Why did that date stand out?
Because that's when she passed. You know, it was, you know, we were waiting for a couple of days. We knew it was coming. She was begging my father to let her die. And, you know, that's what we were dealing with as a family at the time. So it's hard to forget that.
If you could scroll down to the next exchange. Now, On this exchange on January 6, 2021, SB writes what? Is there a term within the department, or what is your understanding of what an FTO is within the police department?
Field training officer.
What is a field training officer within the department?
Someone who trains new officers before they hit the road.
And are you a field? Have you ever been there?
Yes.
You testified as your background, is that correct?
Yes.
You're a deputy chief at some point?
Yes.
And the response given by Marty Briggs is what?
No.
So, but you were an FTO.
Yes.
And on the date of January 6, 2021, what was your status as an FTO, if anything?
I don't know if we had any active officers coming out, but I hadn't been told that I was removed from being one. So yes, I would.
Now, you went through, did you not, just for transitory, you went through the Marty Briggs documents, right?
I did.
And when you went through them, what similarities, if any, did you find with your life?
The person claims to be a lawyer. I don't know what that means, whether the person is in law school or practicing or what it means. I don't know. They ask you, are you working? A lot of the days they're working seem to be days that I may or may not have been working. But that was about it. Also, I believe she asked once if the person worked at a PD, but it doesn't say where.
Now, did you find any entry that talked about the chateau?
Yes.
Do you recall the date of that?
I think it was December 21st.
Can I go to page 382? I'm sorry, does he have the exhibits in front of him?
You have a binder?
Yeah. Right.
I'd like you to read to yourself page 382 through page 386.
Fine. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, sir.
There's an event described who's Marty Briggs?
I have no idea.
What pages are we on?
Right, I think 380.
Did I read the wrong ones?
You said 382 to 386. I'm not seeing.
I'm not seeing it.
Oh, crap. Sorry. I read the wrong ones. My fault. Let me go back here. No, that's what I have. Unless I'm looking at the page numbers wrong.
382 would start with.
The relevant page numbers are in the bottom in the center.
Oh, okay. Sorry, there's a lot of numbers on here. Okay, sorry, I got the right ones.
What is described in that exchange? We learned yesterday from Detective Holmes that SB lived in Kenneth, correct?
Correct.
Are you familiar with any? Is there a Chateau restaurant in the area? So,
Yes, there is.
are there any other around?
There's one in Norwood. There's one in Braintree that I know of. I think there's one in Weymouth, but I'm not entirely sure.
Now, the one in Stoughton used to be called something else.
Yes.
What was that?
No Sarah's.
What was No Sarah's?
No Sarah's was the flagship restaurant of the chain. That's what everybody still calls it.
What do you?
Objection
what
to
is-
the
what-
answer. Objection to the answer.
Here. So, okay.
What do you call the Stoughton Chateau?
I've always called it No Sarah's. I've never called it the Chateau.
Are you the person in the exchange identified as Marty Grace?
No,
Now, you got sworn in as an attorney, is that correct?
yes,
When was that?
January 11th, 2020.
Happy day for you?
Yes,
What did you do that day?
Objection, this is asked and answered.
You get sworn in that day, right?
yes,
Did you do other things that day?
Objection, asked and answered yesterday.
We went through the day yesterday, something new.
Mr. Devine, why are we here for this hearing?
because my name's been dragged through the mud for the last 3 years for something I didn't do. This is the main reason why I wanted this hearing, so that I could be heard. My family has had to deal with this. I've had to deal with this. I've had to remain silent for the last 3 years. And that's why I pushed for this. I don't need this piece of paper. It's not about a piece of paper for me. It's my name. This is about my name.
Do you plan on being a peace officer again?
No.
I have no more questions.
Morning, Mr. Devine.
Morning, sir.
So yesterday we heard from Haley Hogan. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And she had testified about an affidavit that she had drafted, correct?
Yes.
And there appeared to be some confusion as to why she drafted the affidavit. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Do you know why she did
I do.
and why?
She got so upset at the news coverage of a program that she felt very strongly about that she went to her aunt, who was a colleague of mine, and asked her aunt to reach out to me and said that she wanted to make a statement.
So you never reached out to her?
No, she reached out. Well, her aunt reached out to me for her.
And her aunt's solution was to draft an affidavit on your behalf?
Yes.
You had testified yesterday that you, however, reached out.
I did.
And you provided him with a framework of what his affidavit should discuss.
Just the format of it, but not a framework of what it should discuss. I just gave him a format and told him to put it in his own words.
Okay. And so you never mentioned that he should discuss.
Well, of course I did, because that's why I called him.
Well, you just said you didn't provide him a framework of
I
content.
did not provide him a framework for the content. I provided him a framework for how to write an affidavit. I didn't tell him how to write it substantive.
Except to talk about it.
We already talked about it 10 years prior. That it was pretty relevant to what was being said about me, sir.
So you reached out 10 years later and he knew what to put in the affidavit?
Yes.
Okay.
It's hard for him to forget.
So but you never told him to put into the affidavit?
No, when I talked to him, I said, do you remember when you called me 10 years ago about? He said, yes. I said, well, she's making claims right now, and I'd appreciate it if you could make a statement on my behalf about what happened.
So
That's it.
So you did tell him that to discuss the affidavit?
It was relevant.
Well, you just testified that you didn't.
No, I did not.
Okay.
No, you're wrong.
But you just stated that when you discussed with him the affidavit, you mentioned your call from 10 years prior about, right?
Yes.
And that was prior to him drafting?
Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned that should be part of the subject of it.
What was I supposed to do? Make him guess?
That's what you were testifying to.
No, I needed a witness.
Okay.
For something that factually happened.
And is the same true for Haley Hogan? Did you discuss with her prior to her drafting the affidavit?
No,
So she only had discussions with her aunt.
so far as I know.
But her affidavit is very relevant to this case, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So her aunt was able to anticipate post-litigation and what would be relevant?
No, her aunt was able to take her statement and put it into a more legalese form.
And her
Like
statement
most
was,
attorneys do.
and her statement was about SB.
That was part of it, yes.
And you mentioned that her aunt is a colleague of yours.
That's correct.
How is she a colleague?
I actually had her as a professor in law school.
And Haley Hogan is one of your neighbors?
Yes.
How long has she been one of your neighbors?
I've lived there since 2001, and she said she lived there her whole life, so I assume the whole time I've lived in the neighborhood.
Once he provided you with a draft of his affidavit, did you ever discuss edits to it?
No.
Yesterday, you testified, though, that you provided him with a template.
A template for format.
So there was no content included in the
No
template.
content.
And as the affidavit stands, that's exactly how I drafted it.
Yes.
No feedback from you.
None.
The only initial conversation you had was to refresh his recollection about the contact with.
The only thing I said to him was tell the truth about what happened. That's it.
About what happened. Now, how did you get Haley Hogan's affidavit?
Her aunt gave it to me.
And this was out of the blue?
No, it wasn't out of the blue. She called me, told me that her niece wanted to make a statement. Okay. As lawyers, a statement is best put in an affidavit. So that's what she gave me.
So who suggested the affidavit?
I may have suggested to her aunt, if she wants to make a statement, have her write up an affidavit. Just get it.
But I thought that her aunt came up with that idea on her own.
I didn't say that. I said her aunt have to write it.
Right, what though?
The affidavit. You play these word games all you want, Counsel. But the fact of the matter is, I'm saying the same thing.
Objection, Your Honor.
That's right.
Okay.
Mr. Devine, answer the question.
Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Don't even tell me what you're thinking right now. Just
Okay.
answer the questions.
Now, during cross yesterday, you also discussed an interaction with, is that fair to say?
Correct.
And it was, is it Detective Tracy who had a discussion with you about,
Yes.
and do you mind just going through what the content of that discussion was?
All he said was, I think her shorts are a little too short to be sitting in your office and there long.
And he said that to Ms. personally?
No, he said it to me. I said it to Miss because it annoyed me. And then she got upset.
And you had testified yesterday that Ms. was a former police explorer.
She was.
And do you know approximately what year?
But I'm not entirely sure.
And do you know what year this interaction took place between you and Detective Tracy?
Maybe 2013, 2014.
So at that time, she was approximately 23 years old.
I believe so.
So when you met her, she was around 13.
Probably about that.
So you kept in touch with her in some capacity over the years?
Well, I mean, I would bump into her here. And yeah, after she graduated high school, she became a bartender at Not Your Average Joe's in Braintree. My wife and I would go there on a regular basis. She would always say hello. We would always talk. And she told me that she was doing spin instruction. And I said, well, if you ever want to help work the kids out, come on down. And she did.
And you met her initially, though, when she was around age 13?
Probably around there.
Now, Holmes also testified about an interaction he perceived with, is that correct?
He testified to it.
And when you spoke with the IA investigators, you admitted that you had a flirty relationship with Ms.
Yes.
And approximately when was this flirty relationship?
Same time frame, 13, 14-ish.
And this,
She interned for a couple of months during that stretch.
so you had a flirty relationship when she was an intern?
I mean, I didn't have a relationship. There was just banter that went back and forth. It was harmless. Nothing that doesn't happen in the police station every day between other people.
But it was flirty.
It could have been.
And she was an intern?
Yeah.
And in 2013, 2014, you were deputy chief, correct?
I was.
And you had a flirty relationship with an
I
intern?
didn't have a relationship.
So you flirted with an intern?
I bantered back and forth with an intern.
But during the IA investigation, you testified that it was flirty, correct?
Yeah, it probably was a little bit, but I mean, it was nothing major.
In relation to Miss, what did flirting consist of?
Like I said, harmless banter back and forth.
What makes banter flirty?
I couldn't tell you. It was 10 years ago.
But you testified about it in 2021.
No, I testified that I didn't testify about specifics.
But you acknowledge that it was flirty.
Yeah.
So what about your interactions were flirty?
I couldn't tell you. It was 12 years ago.
So you remember enough to call it flirty, but don't remember how it was flirty?
Can I remember specific conversations I had 12 years ago? No, I can't.
So you can't remember specific conversations from 10 years ago?
Not that, no. No, not throwaway conversations that had no meaning. Somewhere around there.
And what age was she when you met her?
I think she was 15.
And what age did you begin to flirt with her?
She was 22.
And that's when she was an intern.
Yes.
Did, I guess at that time, Sergeant Holmes ever have a conversation with you about?
Never.
In regard to former police explorers, is it only Miss?
She was at Bridgewater State.
So is that a yes?
She was a college student. Sure.
All right. Now you testified yesterday about an interaction you had with. And what was your role in the police explorers at that point?
I was handed a program with no direction, and I turned it into a junior police cadet.
And that's again around 2001, 2002?
Yes.
When were the Farwells in the police explorers program?
They were in the first class.
Okay, so that's around 2001?
Yeah.
And around that time, Matthew Farwell was a deputy chief of the program, correct?
Well, he had already had rank before I took it over.
What was his rank?
I think he was captain, and I may have changed it. I may have, because I didn't like the name, so I changed it around.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who you asked about.
Matthew Farwell.
I'm sorry.
Matthew Farwell. What did you change the rank to?
I believe it was deputy chief.
So the same position you had at that time in the department?
No, I was a juvenile officer at the time. We didn't have a deputy chief; it didn't exist.
So William Farwell also had a rank in the police explorers, correct?
I believe so.
Was he a lieutenant?
I think so.
And that was again around 2001, 2002?
Yes.
How long were the police explorers programs?
Like I said, each academy was 10 weeks, 2 sessions per week, and each session lasted about 2 hours.
Was this during the summer?
Went spring into summer.
So how many times per week did the explorers meet?
Twice. For that stretch.
So approximately 4 hours a week for 10 weeks?
Yeah.
And how many years at most could somebody be a police explorer?
I mean, that's a tough question to answer because, I mean, it'd usually be 4 or 5, but I had one exception. Well, I had a couple of exceptions of kids who had developmental issues and they just didn't want to leave. So, I kind of allowed them to hang around even though they weren't technically in the program. One in particular, a kid named, and I just felt badly telling him he had to go.
And you testified yesterday that you also interacted with Miss during open gym?
Yes.
And in particular, you discussed one conversation after her mother had asked you to speak with her?
Yes.
And this occurred at open gym?
Yes.
Why did her mother ask you to speak with her? So she would have been middle school age?
Yes.
And you, as a result of the conversation with the mother, decided to meet with her during open gym?
That was the only time I really had. I didn't want to pull her out of class, and I didn't have an office that year. So.
But there was a room at open gym off to the side?
It was a gym teacher's office. And it wasn't off to the side. It was literally directly in front of the sign-in sheet.
And where was the sign-in sheet?
There was a double steel door, and the doors opened outward. One door stayed closed. This door was open. There was a desk put next to the door, so you couldn't close it without moving everything. The desk, the equipment, everything. And the equipment cage was next to it. Kids would come in, they would sign in, and then they would sign out equipment if they needed it.
And the office had 3 walls, or 4 walls?
It did.
And then one of those was the wall with the double door, correct?
Yes.
And inside that office is where you had the discussion with.
Well, I mean, I let her go into the office. I stood in the door.
And nobody else was there, correct?
That's not correct. There was a high school volunteer signing kids in at the desk right next to me. And I believe Officer Hardy was there as well because he's usually there every day.
But this is in the office or outside the office?
Well, as I said, Counsel, I wasn't in the office. I was standing in the door.
But she was inside the office?
Yes.
So you were inside, or you were at the door and she was inside the office?
Yes.
And she was the only one inside the office?
Yes. Because I didn't want to embarrass her with the conversation.
Now, one of the things that you testified about is that she would meet boys her own age so she could develop some sort of relationships.
Yes,
And that's because she was infatuated with you.
that's correct.
And infatuation in your mind has some romantic connotations to it.
I would assume so.
And you also mentioned that she's going to turn 18 one day, right?
Yes.
Why would you say that?
Because I wanted her to know that she had more life beyond 12, that she's going to graduate high school, go on and forget all about this school and all about me.
But why is 18 relevant?
Because that's when she would graduate high school.
And as part of your preparation for this testimony, is one of the things that you reviewed the test or the reports of to the IA investigators?
I got it 2 days ago. Or actually, I got it yesterday. It's the first time I've ever seen it.
But one of the things that she claimed is that you had mentioned to her, wait until you're 18, correct?
No, not the way she said it. No,
But you had mentioned the age of 18 being significant, correct?
they said one day you're going to turn 18 and leave this place, and you're going to be just fine.
And that's to a 12-year-old who's romantically infatuated with you.
Yeah.
You also mentioned yesterday that the somewhat of a vulnerable individual. Is that fair to say?
Her home life was not great.
And that's because her parents were involved in some type of domestic issues.
Regularly.
Did the police ever respond to those?
Regularly.
But yet you thought it was appropriate to meet with her one-on-one?
I didn't want to embarrass her, Counselor. And it wasn't one-on-one. I was visible to the entire open gym, hundreds of kids and volunteers there.
Did others participate in the discussion?
No.
And you testified that you never touched her during this encounter, correct?
Never.
Did you ever hug police explorers?
Police explorers, when they graduated, would come up and I would offer to shake their hand, and every now and then they'd lean in and we'd do the side hug thing. But that was about it.
And that's graduating from high school or from the Explorers?
From the Explorers Academy in front of their parents and family.
Did they graduate every year, or was it only the seniors when they graduated?
Every year.
So a middle schooler at the end of the year when they graduate, a middle schooler would graduate from the program,
Yes.
and that's when the parents are present,
Yes.
and that's when you may hug them.
Again, it wasn't a regular thing. It was, I would offer a handshake. Sometimes they would throw the arms out. I would throw one arm around the shoulder. That was it. But again, it was in front of all their parents. There was nothing untoward about it.
And you testified yesterday that you had hundreds of police explorers throughout the year.
Yes.
And you just testified that as far as your interactions goes with Miss, you have difficulty recalling specifics.
No, I have difficulty recalling every little word I said to her.
But you recall this interaction with Miss from 24 years ago very vividly?
Well, that one stood out pretty good, Counselor, yeah.
Why did it stand out really, really good?
Because then she started going around telling everybody that she was going to date me when she turned 18, which wasn't the case. I went to my sergeant, I reported that, and that was the last I heard of it, and I didn't deal with her after that.
So age 18, the same age that you reminded her that there's more to life out there?
Yeah.
And you testified during the internal affairs investigation that you also failed to remember the Farwells in an incident about impersonating police officers.
I don't remember that as I sit here right now.
Do you know when that's alleged to have occurred?
I don't.
Was it before they were police officers?
I don't know.
One of the things that you testified about yesterday was that Holmes took your job. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
And how did he take your job?
Well, he made sure he told everyone in the department that I could never be allowed to come back. He supported a candidate for the Board of Selectmen who wanted to fire the town manager because the town manager was allowing me to come back. And he basically wanted me out of the way so that he could be in line for that position.
So it wasn't because of your misconduct that you lost the job?
I lost the job.
I'd like the answer yes or no.
Okay. No, I did lose the job because of that, but that didn't grant it to him.
But it was no longer your job, correct?
No,
So he didn't take it from you.
I didn't say he took it from me. I said he took the job.
So that's your recollection of your testimony from yesterday?
That's what I mean. Okay.
One of the things that you also testified about was your online harassment. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And then you testified that when the Massachusetts State Police investigated, it resulted in a triple demotion, correct?
Yes.
And that's because of the investigation? And because you also abused your position as a deputy chief, correct?
Yes.
Now, one of the things that you testified about yesterday was this app list that you created, correct?
I didn't create it. Apple created
So you subpoenaed Apple?
it. No, but I didn't create the list. I merely printed it out
How did you print it out?
directly off my phone. I can show you right now.
Did you take screenshots?
Yes.
So basically, you just scrolled through the list and took screenshots?
Yes.
When you scroll through the list, can't you pass up an app?
Well, that's why I took it the way I did, so that it would be redundant on each photo, so you could show that I didn't do that.
And what do you mean by redundant?
I mean that whatever app I ended on one page, I would make sure I started with that app on the next page so that they ran concurrent. And again, my phone's right there. You want to look at it? I'll bring it up.
So since speaking about your phone, you do realize that in order to delete an app off your list, all you need to do is swipe to the left?
I was not aware of that, no.
Just one moment. Now, did all of the screenshots that you took in your response to both the IA and the Post Commission come from your phone?
Yes.
So all you did was take screenshots of what appeared on your phone?
Yes.
And that's for everything that's in this submission?
Yes.
So can we pull up page 828? So this is the app list that we're talking about, correct?
Yes.
And did you prepare this before the IA investigation was concluded?
I sent one to Chief Holmes in August, and then I updated it for the Post.
So the updated one for the Post would be after August?
Yes.
Okay, so it would include from September until January when you submitted your response to the Post.
I just updated what I hadn't submitted to the police department and submitted. Yes.
So there was a difference between the two lists?
Just the last couple of pages.
Okay. Let's see here. Can we go to page, just one moment here. 895. So the last app in this list is from August 28, 2022.
Yes.
So is this the list that you prepared for Post or for the IA investigation?
Must be the IA investigation.
So, and that's because the IA investigation concluded around August 29, 2022. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
Okay. So can we scroll up to, just one moment here. Can we go to page 750 and scroll down a little bit? Now, that paragraph begins,
I believe so.
so how could there be an app that was downloaded on August 28, 2022 on that list?
Well, then Maybe I submitted that one to the Post. I can't tell you for sure. It was a couple of years ago. But I know I kept on supplementing it. Every time something popped up, I wanted to have a current copy.
So that list ending on August 28, 2022 must have been for the Post submission.
I assume that must be the case,
Okay, can we go to,
but I'm not sure.
but you created the submission, correct?
3 years ago,
But the Post one was from 2023?
almost 3 years ago.
All right, can we go to page 743? Now, do you recognize this to be your response to Post?
Yes,
And in the top right, that's January 3rd, 2023, correct?
yes,
So the list that you may have created for Post ends August 28, 2022.
I believe so.
And this is dated January 3rd, 2023, correct?
Yes.
So that must mean then that in between January and August 28th, there were no app downloads.
Not that I'm aware of. If there's not, then I would have supplemented it.
And that's what your phone would show now?
I don't know. You could look at it.
Maybe look at it, Your Honor.
Oh, he's offering it to.
Yeah. Hand it to me.
Do you mind setting it down here so we can all see? Can you scroll back up to August 28, 2023? Yeah. Can you go back there, please? So can we pause it there and can we approach Your Honor?
Yes.
And I'll ask Your Honor to note that there's no app dated August 28, 2023.
Well, it's 2022.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, excuse me. So,
It's wrong year.
yeah, okay, never mind. Then we need to go back again.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, can we put it back on?
Yes, absolutely.
So I think this is where your submission was.
Yeah, so there's 8.
Okay. Do you agree
What?
that there's 8 apps in between those dates, 8 apps listed?
I'm sorry. There's
Between what?
The August 28th,
Between August 28th.
January 20, January.
Yeah, was that what it shows?
Yeah.
The parties agree that there appear to be 8 apps in between the August 28th date and January 2023 date.
In January 3rd.
Correct. And you had testified that you updated every time that you had downloaded a new app.
I thought I had. Apparently, I missed
And can we go to page 250? So now, Chief Holmes had testified that they had sent you a list of questions while the IA is pending. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
How did they send it to you?
By mail.
And you eventually responded?
Yes.
And it was by mail as well?
Yes.
Can we go to page 251? Is it fair to say that this appears to be a photocopy of an envelope?
Yes.
Do you recognize the handwriting on the address?
It's mine.
And can you scroll up just a little bit? Is there a postmark date in the upper right corner?
Yes.
What's that date?
August 24th, 2022.
Now, in your submission to both the IA and Post, is it fair to say that most of the screenshots that you created were around the time period of 2014, 2015?
Those are most of the ones that I was able to recover
How did you recover them?
because I was taking pictures of everything that was going on. I took pictures of less and less because it was something that I just had to learn to live with. But I have stuff from 2018 and 2020.
But you didn't feel that those are relevant to the Post investigation?
There was no post investigation that was going on, so I didn't have them.
As far as the 2014, 2015, that's because of your interaction.
That's correct.
And you had testified that all of these screenshots came from your phone. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Can we pull up 788? And you had testified previously that this was a screenshot from Instagram.
It's a screenshot. Well, actually, no, it's a picture that my son sent.
How did he get the screenshot?
I assume he took the screenshot. So,
Okay.
but it was sent to. Well, actually, no, strike that. It was sent to him by someone else.
Who?
I have no idea. That's the problem.
But you previously testified that all of these screenshots came from your phone.
No, I said the screenshots of my Apple history came from my phone. Okay, I did not say this one did.
So now all these other screenshots, did some of them not come from your phone?
There are various places where it came from.
What are those various places?
My laptop, my email, because I don't have my work phone anymore. I mean, there's all kinds of different places where it came from. I tried to keep as much as I could early on, but once it became apparent to me that nothing was going to be done about it, I kept track of stuff less and less. I kept the more serious ones like this where threats were being sent out because I wanted to protect my kid.
But some of these screenshots came from places other than your own devices.
Yes.
Okay. And which ones are those?
I have to go through them
How do you know that the ones that came from other people are authentic?
because they came from my son.
But you just said that this came from somebody else who was not your son.
Well, okay, but it was sent to my son in his name, which happened on a regular basis.
Who sent it to him?
I don't know. Spoofed numbers. That's the problem. There were fake phone numbers all over the place. There were fake phone numbers sending this stuff to me, my wife, my son. That's why we had to keep changing our phone numbers, sir. Okay? Because as soon as they found out what our phone number was, this started. So we would consistently change our phone numbers just to get away from it.
But this screenshot came from somebody else who was not your son?
Yes, but it was sent to my son.
How do you know that it's authentic then?
Because my son went and found the account and saw it and talked to me about it. He gave it to me. I believe my kid.
So your son found the account?
My son went and found the account. He had Instagram. I don't.
But I thought this account came from somebody or this screenshot came from somebody that wasn't your son.
It did. And then he went on and he did a search of his own name and he found multiple accounts that weren't him. They were cloned accounts with his profile picture and his name, but they weren't him. There were at least 7 that were in my name that weren't me. There were at least 8 in my wife's name that weren't her.
And you testified that this is from Instagram.
I believe it was. I believe Facebook bought Instagram, so that's where I think it came from.
So Facebook and Instagram are connected in some way?
I think so. I'm not a tech genius, but I think so.
And in the top left under, what does that word say?
I don't know. Hang on.
Can you make that bigger?
So you believe that this is a screenshot from Instagram that has the words Facebook and Messenger on it?
I think so. I'm not entirely sure.
And you believe that that's because Instagram and Facebook are generally connected?
I think so.
You had an Instagram account, didn't you?
Years ago, yeah.
Do you still?
No.
When did you have an Instagram account?
Oh God, I had one briefly. Probably, I think I started it maybe in 2012, 2013, but like everything else, I shut it down by 2014. So, and yeah, I didn't use it a lot anyway. So,
And you said you shut it down around 2014, the Instagram account?
yeah, I think so. Right around there.
By that point, do you know if Facebook and Instagram were connected that way?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I thought that was within the last 5-6 years type thing, but I'm not entirely sure.
Just one moment here, Honor. My apologies. Did you have any other social media?
I had
Objections. We had a time frame.
Have you ever had any other social media?
Yes.
What social media have you had?
I mean, I downloaded anything that was new just so I could have an idea what it was. But I didn't keep it long term. I think I had a Snapchat account, I had an Instagram, I had a Twitter, and I had a Facebook account. I think that was it, but I could be wrong.
And you had testified that you have downloaded the Facebook app onto your phone, correct?
Yes.
And you know that you can send messages through the Facebook app?
You can't without the Messenger app.
So that's true even in 2010?
No, 2010, it was a different animal because the Messenger app didn't exist.
So approximately, to your knowledge, approximately when did this transition to Facebook Messenger occur?
I have no idea.
And your representation is that today you cannot message through the Facebook app?
I don't know, sir. My understanding is that the Facebook app, today I have no idea, but my understanding is in 2020, 2021, you had to have both.
And how did you know that if you didn't have a Facebook account around that time?
Because I had the Facebook app, but no Messenger app, so I couldn't send messages.
Even around 2020, 2021?
That's my understanding.
I thought you...
No, I didn't. No, I didn't have Facebook in 2021. No, but when I had it, then that was the case.
So how do you know in 2020 and 2021 that you were required to have the Messenger app?
Frankly, I don't. I just assume because that's how it was. So
now, one of your representations in the response to post is that Chief Holmes failed to include information relating to your health at the time of your retirement. Is that
correct?
Can we go to page 223? Can you scroll up just a little bit? Sorry, in the other direction. One more. And now, so this is within Division's Exhibit 1, and we're on page 221. Is it fair to say that this appears to be Exhibit 17 of the Internal Affairs investigation?
Yes.
Can you scroll down back 2 pages to 223? Do you recognize this letter?
Yes.
And what is this letter?
The letter informing the department of my retirement.
Okay. And can you scroll down approximately? No, excuse me. Sorry.
Didn't appear in his narrative.
But it appears here that it's part of the Internal Affairs investigation.
Was it released to the public?
I'm having a little trouble and understanding the answer. Just say it a little slower.
The issue, Your Honor, is
I just want
we
the answer.
were taught. I understand, sir. I'm trying to clarify. We were taught in the police academy that if something's not in your narrative, it didn't happen. Okay, you can have all the exhibits in the world that you want, but if it's not in your narrative, it didn't happen. That was not put in his narrative, and that was not available when they released that report. So no, he did not put it in his report, sir.
You said this wasn't available when they released the report?
Yes.
Can you scroll up just a little bit, please? This letter is dated August 15, 2022, isn't it?
Yes.
Can we now go to page 11? And can you scroll down just a little bit? Right there is good. Up just 2 more lines. This appears to be the first page of the Internal Affairs investigation, correct?
Yes.
And it's dated August 29, 2022?
Yes.
So after August 16th, correct?
Yes.
So that letter was available at the time of the report.
Not what they released, no.
What do you mean what they released?
Wasn't in his narrative, counselor. I can't be any more clear about it than that. Wasn't in his narrative.
But released to who?
They released it to the world, sir. Except for me. I couldn't get a copy of it for months. But they called a press conference and they handed out copies of this report without any of that supporting evidence.
So everyone in the world had access except for you?
I asked several times for a copy of the report and was not good. I had to download one off the internet.
So you did have access?
No, I had to download it from a press company, not from the police department.
So as far as the police explorers go, you said that you took over around 2021. Is that fair to say?
No, 2000.
Or 2001.
Yes.
And you testified yesterday that few seniors were involved in the police explorers because they usually had quit at that point.
Well, they had graduations coming up, stuff like that. Even if they started in the spring, they would usually be gone before the end of the program. So
Do you know if SB made it to her senior year in the Explorers program?
I have no idea. I wasn't running it then.
Approximately how many years did you have SB in the program?
2 or 3, maybe.
So these are 2 or 3 10-week programs?
Yes.
And were you there every day during the 10 weeks?
Yes.
Approximately how many Explorers were there in each class?
20, 25.
So of those 20 to 25, or excuse me, those 20 to 25 police explorers saw you every day during the 10 weeks.
Unless they had something I had to do, yes.
And SB was in it multiple years.
Yes.
You also testified yesterday that SB, when you were on patrol, came up to you approximately once a week.
Once every other week. Yeah.
Yesterday, you had testified, though, that it was once or twice.
No, I said once a week, once every other week. That's what I said.
And this was for a period of over a year, correct?
No, it wouldn't have been because I didn't hit the road. I don't think I got put back on the road until it was my last year. It was my last year of law school, and I graduated in 2020. So I didn't hit the road again until the summer of 2020. So it would have been at most 6 months.
So 6 months is approximately 24 weeks.
I would say
So you interacted with her while you were on patrol approximately 20 times, if not a little more.
maybe
How long did those interactions last?
no more than a few minutes.
And how long would those interactions last before she asked you to rail her?
She came up with that one probably 2 or 3 weeks in. So I would say, I hadn't been back on the road that long. I can't say for sure, but it was around there.
Okay, so even after those suggestions, you interacted with her on a weekly basis for multiple months?
It wasn't my choice, sir. I would be sitting somewhere and she would pull up to me window to window. I would exchange pleasantries with her and I would leave. More often than not, that was the interaction.
And you testified yesterday that initially you didn't know what rail meant, correct?
I said it's a word I don't use.
But you knew what it meant.
I knew what she meant.
How did you know that?
It was hard not to know in the context of what she was saying.
What was the context?
I told you. I said the statement yesterday. She said, "When are you going to give in and just rail me?"
Was there any other context around it?
No,
So just out of the blue, she would just say, when are you going to give in and rail me?
that's what she does. Or what she did.
To you.
No, it's what she did to plenty of people.
So you witnessed when she did this to other people?
No, other people talked about it.
Who are these other people that talked about it?
Just people around the station, would say things that she would say, inappropriate things to people that she would everything else. I mean, no one told me she directly propositioned them, but that she would say things that were out of bounds.
They say things that are what?
Out of bounds.
What are the other things that you talked about with her during these interactions?
That she was in school. She got a job. That's about it. It was small talk.
So nothing intimate,
No, never.
but you acknowledge that she had told you that she was having a sexual relationship with Matthew Farwell?
No, I didn't acknowledge that. What she said to me was when she was propositioning, Matt and Billy like it. She said that one time.
Like what?
I assume she meant like sleeping with her. That's what she said to me.
So she did have intimate conversations with you.
That was the one thing she ever said about them.
Did she say that stuff about anyone else?
No.
So it was just Matthew and Billy Farwell.
Well, she said Matt and Billy. I assumed it was Matthew. But I also didn't believe her when she said it
Why not?
because she lied about everything.
What are some of the things that she lied about?
She lied about being pregnant half a dozen times. She had restraining orders taken out on her. I know one restraining order in particular. Her boyfriend said, she pretty much lied about everything there was to lie
How do you know that the restraining order was a lie?
because I read it. Oh, how do I know it was a lie?
Yes.
Well, I don't think it was lied because it was written by someone else. It was written by her ex-boyfriend.
So she lied about what her ex-boyfriend wrote.
I didn't say that.
So how did she lie in relation to this restraining order?
What I said was the narrative in the restraining order said,
So how's that a lie?
because I believed it to be a lie, because she lied about everything.
But that's what her boyfriend wrote.
Yes.
Now, you testified yesterday that in 2015 you had admitted to abusing your position and conduct unbecoming. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
In conduct unbecoming, you testified about was sort of like a catch-all provision for misconduct.
Yes.
Can we go to page 627? And do you recognize this, Mr. Devine?
What's here?
You can look at it in your packet if you want, around 627. Can you scroll down a little bit, please? Go to the next page, please. So we're now on page 628. Is it fair to say that this?
Yes.
Do you now know what this letter is?
No, I don't remember it. I'm sorry. What page is it on?
This is on 628.
Yeah.
And what is this? Can you scroll to the next page on 629 and go to the bottom of that page?
It is.
And can we go back to 628? So one of the things that you testified about and in your response to post is that you took responsibility in 2015 for your actions.
I did.
Objection, the document speak for itself.
Well, you can read what it says.
I have a question to follow up as well.
Sure.
Is that what you did?
Yes.
And now did you direct Barrett to commence an official investigation regarding alleged violations of a harassment prevention order?
I did not. And this was not sustained.
So this was not sustained.
That was not sustained.
But it's included in his recommended
It's
charges.
included, but it was not sustained by the appointing authority. That was an unsustained charge. Yes.
And that's even by agreement, right?
Yes.
So is that fair to say?
Yes.
And you admitted to that, correct?
Yes.
So how did you use your prestige or influence to identify that person?
There was an ongoing investigation by the state police. They got information as to who sent it to my house. I asked if I could see it, and they showed it.
So no one at the Stoughton Police Department investigated the sending of flowers?
Well, Sandra Barrett was working with the state police, but it was the state police who was handling the overall investigation.
So you use your prestige or influence to influence the Massachusetts State Police investigation?
I asked to see it. All I did was ask to see a piece of paper
What piece of paper?
that showed who ordered the flowers that were sent to my house. They violated my home, Counsel. Okay, I was not in a good headspace over this.
I'll continue to read. Is that fair to say?
I did.
Okay, and that's to whom?
I believe her name was Katie Gamble.
And that's the person that sent the flowers?
Yes,
So how did you know that this person sent the flowers?
because I saw the sheet from the state police.
Okay, and you thought it was appropriate to contact this person?
So all I wanted was for it to stop. And that's all I left on that voicemail message was, listen, you've created a hornet's nest here. Please, I just want this to stop.
And so you reached,
Could I have used better judgment? Probably. But the fact of the matter is that's what I did.
So you reached out to this person despite an ongoing official Massachusetts State Police investigation?
I did. There are laws in place that when someone takes out a restraining order, okay, they cannot then be held as violating that restraining order if they don't report that the other person did it. It's so that people will come forward and file for restraining.
But you were a deputy chief at this point?
I was.
Do you believe that as deputy chief, you had an obligation to report crimes?
I probably should have. Again, wasn't the best judgment on my part.
So as a result of this investigation, you had agreed to a 60-day suspension
I did.
and demotion, correct?
Yes,
And that's from deputy chief to patrol officer?
that's correct.
You termed that yesterday as a triple demotion.
Yes.
What were the 3 tiers that you had gone down?
Lieutenant, sergeant, back patrol.
After you had been demoted from deputy chief, that position was vacant for a little bit. Is that fair to say?
I don't believe it was because Daniel McGowan was appointed as the acting deputy chief, and he acted in that capacity for quite some time.
And that was before now Chief Holmes took over that position?
And it was before they had an assessment center to decide who was going to take it over permanently.
So there was a little bit of lapse in time between when you stepped down from deputy chief, or when you were demoted from deputy chief, and when Chief Holmes became deputy chief.
Yes.
Any idea how much time?
I don't. Months, but I'm not sure.
And one of the things that you testified about is that after you returned, that you had issues with other coworkers. Is that fair to say?
Other supervisors.
And who are those supervisors?
Lieutenant Carmichael, specifically one day, Sergeant Derby at the time, I had issues with him. Lieutenant Owens, Sergeant Marola, about it, I think.
One of the things that you testified about was an internal affairs investigation involving your 8-year-old daughter at the time.
Yes.
And it's because your daughter was alleged to have put a note in Deputy Chief Holmes's mailbox.
Yes.
And he was deputy chief at that time.
I believe so.
So it was your old position.
Yes.
And you testified yesterday that your 8-year-old wrote a note with a quote from Wrath of Khan.
Yes.
So your 8-year-old wrote, "Revenge is a best served cold."
Yes.
Of her own volition.
Of her own volition.
And of all people in the police department, she put it in Deputy Chief Holmes's mailbox.
Yes.
Any idea why?
Because she had, of course, heard conversations between me and her mom about how our friendship had dissolved. Like I said, our families used to be close, our kids used to be close, and then all of a sudden we weren't. So she had heard that stuff. So she was trying to protect her daddy.
So at 8 years old, she was able to connect the Wrath of Khan quote and the appropriateness of putting it in Holmes's mailbox.
My daughter's a pretty smart kid.
Now, you testified on direct about the timekeeping system at the Stoughton Police Department.
Yep.
Is that fair to say? And how inaccurate it is?
It can be.
What do you mean it can be?
Like I said, it's all on human error. You know, if someone doesn't take something out, or if someone doesn't put something in, I found one instance in particular that I actually have my, when I was looking at it last night, because I had never seen these sheets before last night, so I had one night to look at it, where it said that I was working the entire shift on January 12th. I didn't. I went home sick because I had gotten my COVID shot. I have my vaccination card with me today that shows that that's when I got it. I got ill, and then I had to go home. And then on the 13th, it shows that I was out for COVID precautions, and I was out for a good week.
So you admit that those documents in there are timesheets?
I admit that they were put in there as timesheets. I mean, I have no way of knowing where they came from. I have no way of knowing if they were manipulated, because it's pretty easy to do.
But they appear to be timesheets on their face.
They appear to be.
And you compare the accuracy of those timesheets to your own calendar?
I don't have my calendar anymore, but there are days and moments that I remember things happen. I remember getting deathly ill over a COVID shot.
And that was on January 12th,
That was on January 12th.
the day after you admitted to being an attorney.
Yes. And on the 13th, you can see that it says COVID precaution.
So the 13th timesheet is accurate.
Says what?
COVID precautions.
So the timesheet on the 13th is accurate,
I would think that one is, yeah.
but the 12th wasn't.
I don't know. Well, no, as a matter of fact, it's not because I went home. I went home sick.
So you went home in the middle of the day,
Well, early in the shift.
and that was due to the symptoms you were exhibiting from the COVID shot.
Yes.
How long did you exhibit those symptoms?
Almost a week.
Now, one of the things that you testified about on direct is that you were a field training officer still on in January 2021.
I was never told that I wasn't.
So when did you become a field training officer?
When I came back, well, I was way back in the day. And then when I came back, I got pretty good at running dispatch. So they would have people train with me on the desk.
And you were considered a field training officer in that position?
I got comp time for it. So yeah.
What do you mean you got comp time for it?
Yeah, field training officers got 2 hours of comp time for every day they train.
So around January 2021, you were still a field training officer?
Yeah.
Even though you weren't actively training?
Yeah, I mean, you're told unless you're removed from the list, you're an FTO.
So if you were just on patrol and somebody asked you if you were a field training officer, even during the times you weren't training someone, you would say yes?
Yes.
Now,
Because usually they're asking that to ask you a question about something.
and it's not to see if you're with somebody else in your car?
Oh,
Because typically when you're a field training officer, you have somebody else in your car, correct?
yes,
Okay, and that's the person that you're training.
usually.
Now, when you testified about the connections between you and Marty Riggs on direct, I believe that after you listed a couple things, you said, that's it. Is that fair to say?
But I think that's about it.
Now, those things that you mentioned were that Marty Riggs claims to be a lawyer
Yes.
and that he claims to have been working on days that you may also have
Yes.
been working. And that he works at a police department, but no mention of what.
Yes.
And that's it.
That's all I can think of as I said it.
Okay. What about the swearing in date? It seems to be the same, right?
Yes. That could mean I got into law school. That could mean I'm attending law school. That could mean I passed the bar. That nowhere in there says I got sworn in today.
When you got admitted to law school, would you represent that you were a lawyer?
Me, no, because I was older. But there were plenty of kids in my class that did.
What about when you were in law school? Did you represent that you were a lawyer?
No.
When did you first call yourself a lawyer?
I don't usually call myself a lawyer. I usually say attorney. But I don't know, when I graduated.
When you graduated. So before you were admitted to the bar, you called yourself an attorney?
Well, it was a pretty big thing for a guy in his mid-40s. So yeah, maybe I overreached, but yeah.
So calling yourself an attorney when you're not would be overreaching?
I guess.
It just so happens to be on the date you were admitted to be an attorney.
It appears so.
And you were busy that entire day. You testified yesterday, right?
With my wife the whole day.
How long does it take you to send a message on your phone?
Well, when you don't have the messenger app, it's pretty difficult.
That's not what I asked.
Okay, but that's what I'm telling you. I couldn't send that message because I never had the app.
I'm not asking about that message. I said, how long does it send you to send a text message?
Send a text message, it wouldn't take very long.
How long would that take you?
Well, again, I didn't send it, so it wouldn't take me, but I assume it wouldn't take long. If I had the technology.
Seconds?
If I had the technology, sure.
And the technology being what?
The messenger app.
So during the entire day were people monitoring your phone activity?
My wife has access to my phone all the time. She knows my password. She can look at it whenever she wants.
Was that true in 2015 as well?
Yeah,
So how did you communicate with me?
via text message. My wife and I weren't talking very much. And
But she still had-
in 2015, we weren't even living together. So
But she still had access to your phone?
she didn't have access to my phone then. We weren't in the same building.
Now, you had testified about the Chateau restaurant on direct. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And what's the name that you call Chateau?
No Sarah's.
How do you spell that?
NOCERA''S.
And how recently did that name change occur?
I don't know, but that's all I got to call it.
How long has that restaurant generally been there?
40 years,
How long have you lived in Stoughton?
25 years.
Now, how close is the Chateau to Goddard Hospital?
Objection. There, I believe there's the representation that there are several chateaus. I'd like to know which one we're talking about.
How close is the Chateau in Stoughton to Goddard Hospital?
Probably 4 or 5 miles.
So 4 to 5 miles.
Yeah,
Is that as the crow flies or on the ground? On the roads.
probably on the road.
How long do you think it would take you to drive there in your cruiser?
Depends. If it was a straight shot, it wouldn't take long.
And how long is that?
A few minutes.
So less than 10?
Probably, yeah.
And what exactly is behind the Chateau restaurant?
The parking lot.
And what's behind
I'm
the,
losing the answers.
Oh, I'm sorry. A parking lot.
and what's behind the parking lot?
Another parking lot.
And what's behind that parking lot?
A golf course.
There's no woods in the area behind the Chateau in Stoughton?
No, the golf course is right behind it.
So once you get to the parking lot, you can see the golf course?
Yeah.
So no woods at all behind the Chateau?
I mean, there were trees there, but it's not woodsy. No.
So if we pulled up Google Maps, what you'd see is a golf course abutting the parking lot?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, that golf course has a telephone pole that looks right into it with a camera.
Looks right into what?
The back of the chateau. It covers that whole area because their parking lot is right next to it.
You said a telephone pole?
There's a telephone pole, there's a camera on it, and it sweeps that area.
Why is that relevant?
Because you're making the assertion that it's a hidden spot. It's not. There are also cameras on the Chateau restaurant, so you can see people coming and going.
And how do you know that there's a camera in that area?
Because I'm a police officer in the town, I know where a lot of I know where a lot of the cameras are.
Did you ever do investigations about things that happened behind the Chateau?
Yeah.
When?
I can't give you exact dates, but I mean, we would get calls on a fairly regular basis to the golf course parking lot and to the Chateau once they were closing, if they were nervous about someone who was in the parking lot or things like that. Yeah.
And so again, why did you mention the surveillance videos?
Because you were making the assertion that it was a hidden spot. It's not.
And that's because there's cameras there?
Yeah.
If you're all the way back in the Chateau parking lot, how much traffic is there typically?
Objection.
Depends.
Can we get a time frame?
Yes.
How about around 7 p.m. at night?
Depends on whether they're open or closed. If they're open, it can be full.
What about if they're closed?
If they're closed, the parking lot's empty.
Do you know when they're closed?
I think they usually close around 9 o'clock.
All right, so let's focus around the time of the internal affairs investigation in 2021.
Okay.
So is it fair to say that you learned about SB's death shortly after they discovered her?
Yes.
Give or take, what's the time frame when you discovered that she had passed?
I think the next day.
Do you know the date when she passed away?
I don't know.
And how did you find out?
Officer Cheever told me.
Who's Officer Cheever?
She was a fellow officer on the department.
Do you know how she found out?
I don't.
What did you learn about her death initially?
I was told that she hanged herself.
What was your response?
It saddened me. I mean, I was upset. You don't want to see anybody take their own life.
Approximately how long had you known SB? At the time of her death?
Like 5 years.
And how old was she?
Maybe longer. Maybe longer because she was in the Explorers before that. 7, 8 years, maybe.
Do you know how old she was when she passed?
23,
And how old was she when you first met her?
13,
So approximately 10 years.
I guess.
And at least a few of those were when she was an explorer.
Yes.
And then, was she in the Explorers when you were no longer with the Explorers in 2015?
Yes.
In between 2015 and 2020, when you went back on patrol, how often did you see SB?
For the first several years, I didn't see her at all because, like I said, I was inside the station.
And what about after that?
As I described, for the 6 months I was on the road, every time she saw a cruiser, she would pull in and try to strike up a conversation.
So you never saw her in between those two time periods?
The only time I saw her was what I said to the investigator. I was coming home from school. It was late. I hadn't had anything to eat, so I swung into a bar that was close to my house. I was going to get something to eat. I ordered a beer. She was there with a group of friends. She popped up next to me, started saying hello. I didn't even bother ordering dinner. I finished my drink and I left.
Didn't SB work at the Dunkin' in Stoughton?
I don't know.
So you never saw her there?
No. Which one? There's like 8.
So you never saw her working at any Dunkin' in Stoughton?
No.
Now, is it fair to say that she was a police explorer after you were no longer in charge of the program?
Yes.
Did you ever see her around the station during that time period?
Not really, no, because I was working the day shift and they usually had at night.
Okay. And by not really, does that mean that you sometimes saw her?
I may have. I can't recall any time I did.
Do you ever remember speaking with her?
No.
And after SB's death, do you know how long it took before you became aware that you were a potential suspect of the internal affairs investigation?
Sir, I didn't know a damn thing. Even once I got called in for my unit, I wasn't told anything. I got put out on administrative leave, and that was the first I knew of anything. I was shocked. I got called in on my day off to hand in my badge and my gun. And my response, and I'm sure Chief McNamara could tell you, was pretty friggin' shocked. I had no idea what was going on.
So when you went on administrative leave, did they give you any information?
No, they just told me it was involving the investigation into her. That's it.
Her being SB.
Yes.
And do you know approximately when that was?
Oh God. Somewhere between February and April of 2022, I think.
So approximately a year after her death?
I think so. Yeah.
Now, one of the things that you had testified about throughout this hearing is that the members of the Stoughton Police Department, in particular your supervisors, weren't very friendly to you upon your return in 2015.
That's good.
But you became a field training officer.
No, I was already a field training officer. I just got used with the certification I already had.
But they allowed you to train other officers.
Yeah, because they knew I was good at it. And Lieutenant Bonnie oversaw that. He and I got along just fine.
And what about the Oasis program? Didn't you participate in that?
I did.
How long after you returned in 2015?
After some begging by the town drug abuse coordinator, I was reinstated. I don't know, maybe 6 months. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, so 6 months after you returned.
Yeah.
So you were involved in Oasis for several years after 2015?
No, I was ripped out of the program for a good stretch of time because my co-chair was being investigated for something that ended up being nothing. I got a letter from the chief that made it seem like I did something wrong. So I was pulled out for quite a while.
And one of the things that you testified about was that after your return in 2015, you got in trouble for seemingly every little thing.
Yes.
One of the things was speaking on the phone incorrectly.
Yes.
Another thing I believe you mentioned was abuse of sick leave.
Yes.
And how many internal affairs investigations were open against you for those things?
I had no idea.
How many times?
All I know is I was spoken to, and being counseled is part of the disciplinary process.
How many written reprimands were issued?
I don't know.
Are you aware of any?
None that were given to me other than, the official one against my daughter.
And how many times were you suspended?
I wasn't suspended.
Okay. And how many times was it discussed that you should be terminated?
None that I know of.
So it was sort of just interactions where you would get in trouble from your supervisors.
They were counseling sessions. That's what they were called.
Were those the only two things that you got counseled for? Was answering the phone incorrectly and abuse of sick leave?
No. There were several other things, one of which, in particular, as I said, I wasn't allowed to drive a police cruiser. And we had a day where the shift was out of control and one of the bosses was being sent to a call by himself. I tried asking him over the air if he wanted me to jump in a car. I don't think he heard me, but I jumped in a car and I went and I backed him up. Came back and I got read the riot act for it.
What does that mean? Read the riot act?
I got told I'm not allowed to drive police cars. I'm not allowed to do the things that a police officer was able to do.
And you knew that you weren't allowed to drive a police car at that time?
I wasn't aware that I wasn't allowed to drive a police car. I was aware that I was supposed to be sitting on the desk.
So in other words, not driving a police car.
I suppose. But that was just one of many instances.
And what are the many others?
I got ordered to be in a social media photo, and I was averse to social media because of everything I was going through. So I refused to do it. And I tried to reason with the sergeant as to why. He told me it was in order. And I told him, well, okay, well, I'm willing to take the hit for that. Because I wasn't going to be in a social media post. And, it ended up going to the chief. They ended up letting it go eventually, but it did become an issue and I did get counseled for it.
And who was the chief at that time?
Chief McNamara.
So you said she let it go?
Yep.
And that means without any formal discipline?
Other than the counseling session, which is formal discipline.
Did you ever have any direct conflict with Chief McNamara while at the department?
Yes.
And what was that conflict?
Oh, God, there were several things. I mean, from the time that she was working for me to the time that I was working for her, we had disagreements of opinion. We had disagreements. She would tell people, she would use me as an example for people who were under investigation. I told her I didn't appreciate that. There were several run-ins of that nature.
How did she use you as an example? What is that?
Oh, there was one officer who he got reported for having improper conversations with a female. He's married, so of course she threw me in his face. And I didn't appreciate it. It had nothing to do with it.
Why would you be an example for that officer?
I don't know, but she used it.
You heard her do that?
He told me.
Okay. So he told you after she used you as an
Yes.
example. So you testified that there's a lot. What else?
Again, sir, it was nitpicky things. It was things that I never so much as got detention before 2015. Okay. I had a 30-year law enforcement career. Never got accused of anything. I was a rule follower. I'm still a rule follower. That's what I do. Okay. And when I went back, every little minor thing, how I entered things in the log, whether I assigned the proper report numbers, whether I sent the right number of people on a call, whether I handled the call properly. I could go on and on and on, but it was all just nitpicking at me constantly about things that, I was supposedly doing wrong.
And those are the things that Chief McNamara nitpicked about?
Yes.
How many times did now Chief Holmes counsel you formally?
He didn't talk to me at all for the first several years I was back.
And that includes for counseling?
Yes.
So all of these counseling sessions were with other people than Chief Holmes?
Yes.
Some of them were with Chief McNamara, though?
Yes.
So in relation to your time after the internal affairs investigation involving SB began, did you ever return to work?
No.
And when did you retire?
August 16th, 2022.
And that's approximately 4 to 5 months after you found out about the investigation?
Yes, because I wasn't told for anything. I was left twisting in the wind for 5 months.
And that's why you retired?
I retired for health reasons, but after 5 months of hearing nothing, my wife and I sat down and had a conversation about whether it was worth it to stay in the game, and we both decided it wasn't. And I retired.
And your wife is a Quincy Police Department officer?
She is.
Has she been a Quincy officer around, I guess, since around you started to become a police officer in
We
Stoughton?
went to the academy.
So you joined Stoughton at the same time she joined Quincy?
Yes.
And you had testified about SB having an interaction with your wife, is that fair to say?
Yes.
And that's during that RAD instruction?
It's not called RAD anymore. It's a self-defense program that Quincy puts on. They don't use the RAD moniker because they don't really stick to the entire curriculum.
And you had testified essentially that your wife should avoid having too much contact with SB. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And why is that?
Because anytime SB got the phone numbers of a female officer in our department, whether it be Officer Cheever, whether it be Officer Isabel, whether it be Officer Barrett, she would drive them crazy and they would end up having to block her. And I didn't want my wife having to deal with that.
But SB had never done anything to your wife when you initially told her this?
Other than disrupt her class, which she had already done.
So she never sent any messages, to your knowledge?
No, she did. She texted my wife as soon as she got her phone number.
What did she text her?
Just let me know when we can set things up, things like that. She kept on sending that. My wife actually entered her into her phone and talked her.
So she had SB's phone number
She did.
saved in her phone.
She did.
So you never did? Did you ever see her phone number?
No.
Did you have any other way to contact her other than in person? So I think it's fair to say that by the time your wife had interactions with SB, you knew SB was somebody that officers should avoid?
Female officers who she wanted to mentor her, yes.
And what about male officers?
Well, I suppose anyone who she wanted to get involved, pretty much anyone she wanted to get involved with, she would drive crazy. So yeah.
And in 2020, did you believe that SB was somebody that you should be avoiding?
Outside of high and by, yeah.
But you had these interactions with her for a few minutes at a time?
Yep.
And what
And
happened?
again, they were forced on me. I hadn't go seeking her out. She found me.
And how did she force herself upon you?
Because I would be parked in an area, she'd pull in with her car window to window and just start talking.
So there's no way you could have driven away?
I could have driven away if I wanted to be rude, yeah.
But you didn't want to be rude to her despite that she had propositioned you to rail her?
No,
And how many encounters did you have where she suggested that you rail her?
just the one.
Not multiple?
No.
So there was only one interaction that you had when she suggested sexual contact between the two of you?
That I can remember. Yeah. That's the one that stands out.
How many interactions did you have with her after that?
I couldn't tell you, Counsel.
Do you know approximately what date that was?
I don't think I was on the road that long, so maybe September, October 2020.
And where did this occur?
That was in the Jubilee Church parking lot,
How visible is that parking lot to the public?
right on Route 27.
I'm sorry, what parking lot did you say?
The Jubilee Church, it overlooks a stoplight. So I would sit there and look at the light. There's a shopping center right next to it. So people would come out and run the light all the time. So I would sit at the end of the driveway.
When you're on patrol, is it expected that you sit somewhere where the public's able to see where your cruiser is?
Usually, but not always.
And where are the places where you typically sat while on patrol?
The Jubilee Church parking lot, the Cedar Hill Golf Course, the heck else? I'd go home for dinner and things like that. And then there was a Planet Fitness plaza on the other side of my patrol area.
Is the Cedar Hill Golf Course the same one that abuts the Chateau Stoughton?
It is.
Did you ever sit in the Goddard Hospital parking lot?
Well, I don't call it the Goddard. It hasn't been that for a long time. It's the Gosnell. But I have sat there before, yes.
And that's after you went back on patrol in 2020?
Yes.
Can we go to just one moment? My apologies. Can we go to, I believe it's page 186 of the additional materials? Excuse me, 187. Just one moment. So this is one of the documents that we looked at yesterday. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Yes.
So under that first, can you read that first sentence? And that's when you declined to have a formal investigation. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
And that's because previously the Massachusetts State Police investigation resulted in your triple demotion.
That's part of it, but it's not the entire thing.
And that's because of the state police investigation?
No, that's because people in the court don't know how to keep their mouths shut
Now shut about what?
about people's personal lives. So.
So if a member of the public went to the courthouse, they wouldn't be able to get a protective order or a copy of one?
I haven't been in the game for a little bit. My understanding was that the domestic violence laws were beefed up so that that was the case. Yes.
Beefed up so that what was the case?
So that those were protected, restraining orders and harassment prevention orders. I could be wrong, but that was my understanding.
From your understanding, were they beefed up before or after 2015?
I'm not sure. I think it was actually right around there when something went a lot. I remember the 209A laws being updated then. I think that's when it happened, but I can't say for sure. So.
And you're currently a practicing attorney?
But I don't do criminal law
Why do you mention that?
because that's what we're talking about.
What do you practice?
Usually estate planning.
Anything else?
I mean, I've handled the occasional, injury lawsuit, things like that. But for the most part, I stick to estate planning.
And you've been a practicing attorney since January 2021?
Yes.
How many attorneys are at your current firm?
Just me.
So you're a solo practitioner?
Yes.
What's your firm name?
Devine Law LLC.
Where's your office located?
I have an office down the Cape that I share with another attorney, and I have a mailing address in Easton.
Where?
Easton?
When you graduated law school, was it your intention to be a solo practitioner?
I didn't really know what I was going to do. I hadn't decided yet. It depended on whether or not I decided to retire, if I was going to try and find a job, or if I was going to try and become a solo practitioner.
But once you were admitted to the bar, you decided to be a solo practitioner?
I mean, within a couple of months of talking to some other ones, I made that decision, I think, March or April of that year. I think that's when I started.
And some other ones being firms?
Yeah, other solo practicing attorneys. Because I didn't know what I was getting into, so I wanted to do some research before I did that.
I have nothing further.
I have a couple of follow-ups.
Read that.
Just a couple of follow-ups. Sir, when you get a restraining order, you do it in a public court, is that correct?
Correct.
But it's still a public forum, right?
Yes.
So you go in front of the judge and the courtroom is open to anybody who wants to come in.
Yes. Yes.
Now, you had discussed on examination that SB had approached you at certain times?
Yes.
Now, as a police officer, if someone is approaching your car and you're on duty, do you drive away?
No, I want to know what they want in
So-
case there's something going on.
So if she approached you in the car, what was your obligation as a police officer when she approached?
Find out if there was an emergency.
You couldn't just drive away.
Not usually.
The part of your job, despite how many times you were approached by her, what was your obligation?
To at least find out if there was something going on.
I have no questions.
Nothing further.
I have at least one question. Just Ryan, when you were a deputy chief, did you from time to time have to engage in what you call these counseling sessions with police officers?
I did, sir, yes.
Matter of policy or practice that if you engage in that, you would make some sort of record of that.
Not always.
Well, was there a policy, one way or the other?
There's a policy. Well, yes, there is a policy. I believe, and it's been a while since I've read it, but I believe that under counseling sessions, they were also referred to as trunk talks. You know,
Say it again.
trunk talks.
Trunk?
Yeah, where you take someone to the back of the cruiser and be like, "Hey, you screwed up." All right, but it is in policy. It's official discipline. Then the next step would be regarding reducing things to writing.
The next step after you had the conversation?
In progressive discipline, if the same incident kept happening.
But the initial counseling session, there was no requirement as a matter of policy to make a record of it?
No.
I don't have anything further. Does that cause anyone to have any further questions?
No.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Devine.
Thanks, sir.
Does the respondent have any further evidence that he wishes to produce?
No, Your Honor, respond to us.
Is there any rebuttal evidence of the vision proposed?
The division would propose to admit that exhibit that was submitted yesterday, the Marty Briggs messages that were interspersed with the timesheets.
Your Honor, we object to that if I may be heard.
Can I see what we're talking about?
I emailed it yesterday.
Did I read your evidence?
Fair enough.
I'm sure somebody does, so I'll get it. That would be it.
Yes, sorry.
So essentially, if you continue scrolling for a couple pages, there's the Marty Briggs messages that begin the same 99 pages that are part of the IA report. If you keep going a little. Right here at the beginning of those same messages, and then you'll see there's sick day, and then if you keep scrolling, probably a few more pages before the first one. Right there, there's the attendance roster in Stoughton Police Department.
All right, and reason for your objection?
Your Honor, I asked you to look at the first page of the messages. That,
Where the rig stuff starts.
yes. Yes. Page. First page. Okay.
Is that
Hey,
it?
could we bring up on the other screen? Page 354 of the original exhibit notebook. Scroll down so you have the same page. Your Honor, if there's ever a question about,
Actually, can you just enlarge those a little bit for these tired eyes?
if there's ever a question about the police department's ability to manipulate documents, well, Judge, it's nice that counsel's trying to testify as to what these are.
Well, but you're reading it now, just, you're right, in terms of what it means, he is testifying, but is this true for other ones as well, that there's?
So there's dates, yeah, they're all the dates, all the times are different on these. Some of the dates are different.
Well, here we have a different date. Let's just take what we're looking at here. You have consistent with your complaint here about this process.
Well, my point is that it's unreliable.
Well, that's what I'm asking. So
Yeah.
why it's, you don't have to tell me this strategically, but why wouldn't this potentially be evidence that's corroborative of your position?
It is, Judge, and it actually goes far.
You're trying to strike. I mean, you don't want it entered into evidence. That's what's a little confusing to me.
Hold on 1 second, Judge.
Sure.
Judge, we have no objections. They're not going to put anyone in the stands who authenticate this information.
And that'll be. It's just the way this is received that has been of concern to the hearing officer in this case, and it seems to me that virtually everything else that was received recently on June and produced on June 13th has been included in the record here, and to the extent I can argue what they want from it, we should have concerns with authentication. Disparities, you can argue, the division can argue what they think is probative about it. But you're withdrawing your objection?
Yeah, sure. If I could put the a new document back up and just point out something.
The new one we just had.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of my concerns with this, if you can scroll down.
Well, you had this when you had Holmes on the stand for quite a while, right?
Yeah, well, we reviewed it last night, Judge.
Okay. You didn't notice it until last.
I didn't notice it before.
Your Honor,
These are the documents, and I agree. I got them, like I think it was 2 weeks ago when we sourced. I had them 2 weeks ago, and I got them when I opened it. Honestly, I thought it was just another receipt of Mighty Rigs. I thought it was another version of Mighty Rigs all over again. So,
Well,
you-
yes, that. Well, so I can put this in context. I'm just reading for a moment to myself. We have, until you receive this recent material,
yes.
what page is that? I'm sorry, wait. Page. Remember that. All right, well, given that the objection has been withdrawn, we'll admit that as the next exhibit. I want it as a separate exhibit because we've got a separate discussion about it, so we'll isolate it for the purposes of this hearing.
Sure, and the division wanted to introduce that, so that I believe with the division's exhibit 14, but let me just double check on that. Yes, I believe the new exhibit would be divisions 14, and then for identification purposes, that would be division's exhibit F, as in 3. Yeah.
All right, so anything further from the division?
Just to clarify, we'll be receiving an updated exhibit list.
Yes, you will. It will be sent to both parties.
is it possible we could get you've been very nice helping me get these documents. Is it possible we can get a big, you'd sent us a link to the exhibits before. Is it possible that you could send us a link to the exhibits as they exist now?
Yes, and the parties like them like combined into one file if possible.
That would be fine. So you can reference the page numbers. I think that would make sense.
Okay. It is a pretty voluminous file, so if for some reason we can't, I'll let the parties know and we'll try and make it as clear as possible. But
I'll come in, as you know, I'll come in.
In view of what I'm about to ask about submissions, what do you think's the timing methods of providing that material?
So we have everything, we just want to organize it, just to be realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, could we get back to the parties later today on when they can expect to receive the,
Just generally, it's a matter of days.
yeah, we should know later than tomorrow.
Oh,
Close
I'm
business,
just thinking for
business.
scheduling purposes.
Yes.
Because we decided in our discussion yesterday that post-hearing submissions would, rather than oral argument, would be a written submission. How much time does the division feel it needs to prepare that? There's a lot of material here, obviously.
I think once we receive that final exhibit list, 4 weeks,
4 weeks,
4 weeks.
is that enough time?
Judge, I'm going on vacation actually tomorrow, because my wife's already up in New Hampshire. I asked for another week, so I don't have to rush, and I know my client is going away.
No. So you folks are looking, you're okay with 5 weeks as opposed to 4 weeks, I assume.
Yes, that's right.
So what would that be?
Right, so if we send the exhibit list by end of day tomorrow, we'll say that we'll start the count on Friday, July 18th. So 5 weeks from that. Would be Friday, August 22nd.
So I should tell you what would be most helpful to me. Practical matter, free to make me back to our line. But an organized proposed findings of fact, it seems to me, would be most useful because ultimately I need to make findings of fact. So while I have a sense of the arguments I'll be receiving from you, what facts you think support those arguments, and initially, as part of your submission, findings of facts would be appropriate. Does anybody have a problem with that? Proposed findings.
Your Honor, I've also had instances where it's been requested we send our findings and facts in Word format, so it's easy for Your Honor or another fact finder.
Sure, as opposed to what?
You send a PDF, which is the original, but you also send send it in a Word document so that it's easily used.
I wasn't talking about a PDF. If I said something about a PDF, I don't know.
Oh no, maybe I was presumptive that we'd be submitting our
Oh, I think, yeah.
plans.
I mean, so I can use the copy parts that I might want to use?
Yes.
Well, I won't need any of yours. Word. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
We'll submit both as a PDF and a Word document.
Why not? Yes.
I know we said it Friday, but I was hoping perhaps we could go to that next Monday, which would.
So you really want more than 5 minutes?
Yeah, well, I see if we're going to get it.
What's the following Monday?
That would be Monday, August 25th.
That's fine.
And that would, what time? Would that be close of business, like 5
Yes.
p.m.? Okay.
Anything else?
I don't believe so.
I don't believe so.
Oh, yes, it shouldn't need to be said, but I will not be accepting any further documents, exhibits. Something comes up, you have to make a separate motion for request, but I don't anticipate that to be favorably received. The only reason it conceivably could be is that we already have the experience in this case of finding files that were not originally available, so I want to keep an open mind about that. But otherwise, I don't expect to see anything further by way of proposed evidence. Evidence is closed. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Well, thank you both.
Your Honor, just one question about the protective order as it applies to Chief Holmes in particular. He had questions for me yesterday that I was unable to answer. Essentially, because he's the IA investigator, he wants to know if he's totally prohibited from speaking to anybody about his investigation period, or if it's only about what occurred in the hearing room. because he had knowledge prior to testifying in this matter.
Of course. In what capacity is he concerned? Is he being called as part of additional investigations or something?
So essentially, I believe that people have asked him about, for example, Matthew Farwell or William Farwell or SB, and he basically has to say, I can't speak to anybody about anything, even if it's a personal.
You would think he would enjoy being. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if I were in his shoes, I might. But why should he be relieved of, unless it's in the capacity of some investigating authority like the federal, or unless somebody in the civil case is trying to question him about it. I wouldn't want him having casual conversations with people. I don't think. What's your view on
The civil case was stayed, so that's not an issue anymore. It was stayed pending the outcome of the federal
Well,
court.
I get that, but it doesn't mean that people aren't doing preparatory work. It may be stayed in terms of things going on. There may be investigations going on. The civil case, maybe certainly federal related investigations, or who knows what else is out there. What do you propose? You're the folks that persuaded me to enter a protective order in the first place. So how do you feel?
My advice to him was just don't talk about it. That was my advice yesterday, but I mentioned that I would speak to the hearing officer. In the grand scheme of things, I mean, he does have personal knowledge outside of this hearing.
Well, I'm not sure I can bar him from information that wasn't obtained by virtue of his participation in this proceeding.
I think generally that would be the division's perspective as well as.
He's going to be walking a tricky line there, because it's sometimes hard to distinguish what you learn from this as opposed to what the knowledge you had prior to that. But in connection with some of these other proceedings, there's protective orders anyway. It's a federal one, there's a civil case one, so he's got to be cognizant of that and concerned about violating those orders as well. I think our protective order relates to these proceedings, so that's the simple answer. But if somebody's advising him, they might want to think about the existence of other orders out there as well. I think you gave him good practical advice, by the way. So,
But I also did not want to advise him, as an attorney either, because he's certainly not my client in any form.
Right.
Do
you have any thoughts on that you want to add to this discussion?
No, it's an interesting issue. I think, as you said,
Well, are you involved in the civil case?
I am. The civil case I represent.
I figured.
So that has been stayed pending the outcome of the federal criminal case with Matthew Farwell. I think that if he had personal knowledge before, you can't bar his personal knowledge, but I think he'd be happy to be able to say, so he's not bothered, that he can't say anything. I've been contacted by newspapers and media agencies, and I'm very happy to say I can't talk to him about it. There's orders in place that I can't talk to you about.
So I need to tell you as a general, I don't mind this being a matter of record either. In my current capacity and my capacity sitting on the bench, I generally I'm uncomfortable with these proceedings being subject to a protective order. I did it because there were requests made. I think there's a transparency and a need for public awareness of these matters such as this. This is not this case, it's distinguished from others, but generally speaking. And the other aspect of this that makes it perhaps a little more troublesome is that there's so much out there already. I mean, I've seen articles, I've seen detailed articles. There's a certain irony with using initials here when the world has seen her name published out there. And I don't think it's particularly healthy that, post-commission proceedings should ever be, unless unusual circumstances exist, should ever be confidential and protected. But And it's interesting that it seems like the family doesn't seem to be pursuing that request. Just from a little bit I've read about the outside, and actually we received requests as well, I think, from counsel for the family about being able to participate, at least as observers in these proceedings. So it's not the family that's seeking the protection. So it causes me to think about who is that, who stands to be damaged by by what the proceedings that have happened in this case, if they were, if the information were released. So I'm going to be thinking about that a bit. I won't do anything without engaging the counsel and the parties, and I wouldn't change the orders unless I had further conversations with you folks. But it's something to think about what's everybody's got to think about their own interests, and that's part of what I'll want to hear from you ultimately. And right now the orders continue to be in existence, but ultimately there's going to be a decision. It's going to be out there. I think the parties are entitled, unless there are reasons to continue to remain confidential in a sort of sense, that it may be in the interest of the parties themselves, it may be in the interest of the public, that the ultimate findings are made public. But again, I won't do anything unless I've had a further conversation with you folks. All right.
That does sort of remind me of a point.
I knew I should get one.
As far as the written closing arguments go, I anticipate that the parties may want the recordings of this proceeding, just in anticipation of not wanting that to occur, 3 days before the written closings are due. Can the parties get access to the recordings?
Yes, yes, it will take additional time just because they are so large, but we can send the recordings. Is the audio recordings fine? Because I think if we did send video, that would be quite big.
The audio will be fine.
Video from this purpose.
No, the audio will be fine.
Okay.
And I'm going away next week anyway, so it doesn't really affect.
I believe the only issue that I think that we were fairly careful about it, but the only issue would be what's being shown to the witness with the audio.
But you know that because everybody said page so and so, page so and so.
I think we were very careful, but that would be my only concern.
So if you need a particular video, you should contact us and we'll work on it, right? But generally, is there a problem with that? I knew I should have said. Yeah.
Just Attorney Martinez, I believe we didn't share our screen in the recording, just it was with the people in this room.
Okay.
So if there are specific questions, we can cross-check the page numbers with.
Yeah, then no, I don't think we'll need the video.
Okay.
So that solves the problem.
And obviously, the extent you receive the audio recordings, those are subject to the protective order as well. Anything else?
No.
All right, we'll be in recess. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.